Welcome, everyone, to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name's Jared Mello, and I'm the Shepherd of Black Sheep. To my right here is Shadow the Night Owl. He is my buddy and the right-hand man of the channel. And today, what we're going to go over is what a psychologist, Dr. Lieberman, she joined Matt Johnson, and she gives her opinion on what she thinks Mackenzie's diagnosis is. And I agree with some of it, but there's a reason why I don't agree with the other part. She mentions that she says she thinks she's a psychopath. I agree with that part. Then she says she thinks she's borderline. Now, I'm not as sure about that, and I'll give a couple reasons for it as we get into it. But also to note, Shopify store coming along here, it's actually much more complicated than I thought as well. So it's taking longer. It's a lot of little details that you just wouldn't think about until you do it. Danielle, what's shaking, Danielle? Shadow and I say hello. As folks come on in here, remember to like the video because likes are free. Subscribe to the channel. Say hello to the flock of black sheep when you get in. And as always, the super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting channel memberships, great ways to support the channel. They help me pay for Shadow's soy-free hoodie snacks. Hello there, Yokin, Y2K, how are you? And also, I'm usually live before this. I'm late tonight, but 10 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. I was caught up on the Black Sheep merch today, which should be soon as I can figure it all out. Nanny Goat, what's shaking, Nanny Goat? Shadow says hello. Danielle says hi, Jared. Hi, Shadow. Like numero uno. Hello there, Auntie. How are you? Shadow says hello as well. How is everyone's Friday been? Happy Friday to the folks out there. And to celebrate, I came on the show late. And Phil Bradley just reminded me there's no such thing as late. Wizards and shadows only arrive on time, neither early nor late. Isn't that right, Danielle? But let's jump into what this psychologist has to say, and I'll tell you what I agree with her on and what I disagree with her on, and it should be pretty interesting. There's a Law and Crime Network video to go over after this, too. I was actually debating on what to even go over today because it's a weird news day. Crime Con's out there. One of our flock of black sheep, Julie Martino, she said hello to Mike King for me at Crime Con. I bet you Matt Murphy's at Crime Con as well. Hopefully someone says hello to him for me. But people are out there. Things going on with Nancy's or whatever. People talking about Anna Kepner. People talking about this case here, the Mackenzie case. But we'll see. But let's jump into this here. I think you guys will find this interesting. It overlaps with what we talk about on the channel.
Is Mackenzie Shirilla dangerous? Does she have a split personality?
I mean, you were saying my diagnosis, and yes, I think she's a psychopath, but also I think she's a borderline personality. And that is how and why she was acting the way she was with her boyfriend.
Now, as she says that, all right, if she is borderline, she would certainly be a borderline version that has psychopathic traits. That's what I would think. And again, I'm not a licensed clinician. This is just my opinion for entertainment purposes only, by the way. So let me make sure that's out there. But the reason that really, there's two things that make me think she's not as borderline. One, I don't know where her fear of abandonment is. Many borderlines have a fear of abandonment. If they don't have a fear of abandonment, they have a fear of being engulfed. But where is her fear of abandonment? Right? When she's telling Dominic and using emotional blackmail against him, well, if you break up with me, I'm just going to go get a sugar daddy and sell feet pics. Does it seem like she's very scared to be abandoned when she talks like that? Not at all. Not at all. It sounds like she's more like someone that wants to be in control. Because the other video where she's banging on his door, demanding he opens the door, could you say that's more of a fear of abandonment? Maybe. But I would also say just more wanting to be in control of the situation. So, and again, all these cluster B diagnoses, they can overlap. So they can be a little bit antisocial, a little bit narcissistic, a little bit borderline. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the diagnosis doesn't matter as much as her actual behavior and what you see in front of you. So always remember that too. People get caught up in what the diagnoses could be or might not be. And I always emphasize, don't worry about that as much. Worry about what's in front of you. Worry about their behaviors. Worry about how they're treating you. Worry about that. That's what's more important.
Well, the Mackenzie Shirilla that you see in the Netflix documentary, clearly not the same person that is incarcerated behind bars serving 2 life sentences. That's evident at the end of the documentary. We'll talk about it. And it's also very clear with the fellow inmates that I've interviewed. You're going to hear from them. And you're also going to hear from a 20-year experienced expert witness, a forensic psychiatrist who gives her diagnoses as to this inmate behind bars and how dangerous she really is. But first, do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share this episode. Now, the case of Mackenzie Shirilla. Here to help break it all down, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Carol Lieberman, forensic psychiatrist, author, and probably the best expert witness that there is.
I would like to invite this person on the channel as well, Dr. Carol Lieberman. I think we could have a pretty good discussion about this case and other cases and psychology in general.
Nice to see you. We're talking about this case that has really blown up with the Netflix documentary, The Crash, Mackenzie Shirilla. And my question to you is going to be, are we dealing with someone that's very dangerous and someone that has a split personality? Because in the documentary, she tries to be perceived as a certain kind of way. So let me talk about that at first. In the documentary, quote, she says, "It's really hard every day in here. I try to wake up and be the best person that I can be every day, stay out of trouble. Both of their families, this is not intentional, and I will do everything that I can to prove to the world and to the families, and that's it."
To me, I think that's just a performance. I mean, that's the vibe I get. The fact that she seems to be able to control those outbursts, whether they're in court or in the back of the cop car, and you compare and contrast that to how she talks to her dad and her mom on the phone, or you see those text messages with her dad, just doesn't add up. Does it, Danielle? Doesn't add up. It comes off to me as someone that's wearing a mask and wants to manage their image. That's what it comes off as to me.
There's not a moment that doesn't pass where I don't think about Dom and Davion. So, your initial thoughts on just those kind of statements of remorse almost from someone that's serving 15 years to life, 2 sentences.
I don't believe it. This is a woman who was an influencer. She had, all these different videos online. The thing that I think is important is that it was just a few weeks before this crash that her boyfriend sent her a text which implied that he was going to be breaking up with her. And I think that this was really consciously or unconsciously, I think really consciously, this was her way to get back at him, to not have him break up with her. I'll show you. I think this was definitely intentional. And, there are these phone call tapes of her with her mother talking about maybe Kim Kardashian is going to come and show that she's going to help me get out of jail. Kim has already said no, but that was her fantasy. Really, I mean, I think that she is a psychopath. Let me just make it simple.
I agree with her there. I think she's displaying too much control for me emotionally to think she is more borderline. Again, it is possible for borderlines to be comorbid with that as well. I do think that too. But I'm skeptical if that's the case going on here. I think she seems more narcissistic and psychopathic to me. But that's just my opinion.
I think she's a psychopath because so many of the things that she has done and said are in that vein. And I don't think that, I mean, when she was on the phone with her mother, for example, and they were talking about the movie, The Crash, and she was saying that, that like she was so happy that she was famous. And that seemed to be her, her reward for what she did.
Well, I have a bit of one of those phone calls, and I want to get your take on the other side.
I want to enjoy life there, but like it's just sad. Like I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitative. See, that's how jail is supposed to rehabilitate people.
But I don't need to be rehabilitated. Like I don't
No,
need
not
that.
you.
Like
I know you.
And what have I always said? If someone can't admit they even have a problem, there's no chance they're going to change. She doesn't need to be rehabilitated. And I would say this, even if she didn't do what she did intentionally, she's out of control anyway with her entitlement, selfishness, arrogance, narcissism, etc. That's a problem regardless of what happened in the crash. What happened in the crash just put a highlight and emphasized it all. But she's not willing to recognize any issue with herself, which demonstrates a lack of humility. And when you hear someone say that, you can be damn sure they're not going to change. If someone said, I don't need to be rehabilitated, well, you can be damn sure whatever problematic behavior she has are going to continue. Guaranteed.
Don't.
I feel like I want to live off the grid. Like, and I'm just thinking about like how I'm just gonna be like old when I get out of jail, and like I don't know, like I'm not gonna be able to have kids or like a family and like
What?
that. Like
You said that.
I'm just scared they're gonna be like, you have the death penalty or you're going to life for 40 years.
I know. Well, let us fight. Let us do what we're doing, okay? Just living right now.
Okay, so that's one of those phone calls that you were talking about, and again, it's just someone that's really not taking accountability, and it's very frightening because this should have shaken a person awake. They should be feeling remorse. How should they be acting?
Yes, it is shocking that, well, not necessarily shocking, but it goes along with being a psychopath that she is talking like this and not really feeling any.
It just goes to show you that everything she says in court and whatever was just a performance. That was a performance. That's all it was.
Any remorse for the family or anything. In fact, she wrote a text to her boyfriend's mother, and she said that she wishes she could remember what happened. She's claiming that she blacked out and that she doesn't remember anything. And then another time she claimed that it was some kind of medical emergency. She's coming up with all these excuses, but really, it just seems like continuously they're all in the same line, which is that she really has no remorse, that she really is a psychopath, that really she just sees this as her way to get close to Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, and I really wonder if she thinks that she has everyone fooled. She really thought that she had the producers of Netflix fooled for The Crash, but then it was at the end where it was revealed, and it's come out, quote, "It's only after Mackenzie finishes speaking that the filmmakers reveal that her attorney has been in the room the entire time. Her demeanor demonstrably shifts as she checks in on how she's coming across. I don't want to force anything and just say too much or sound crazy."
As the kids would say, that's saying the quiet part out loud. The quiet part out loud is, it's just about the image of how I'm perceived. Impression management. That's what a narcissistic person would say, all about the image. And, like I said, as the kids would say, she said the quiet part out loud. But as you're here, please remember to like the video because likes are free. Subscribe to the channel. Say hello to the flock of black sheep in the live chat here. What else? As always, super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting channel memberships, great ways to support the channel. We do a weekly live stream. The most recent one was yesterday. We got the Shopify store up and coming along soon. It's taking longer than I thought, more detailed, but that should be available soon. And thank you very much for all of the support we've gotten so far.
she says to her lawyer, before turning back to the camera to say, quote, "I'm big on no intent. There was no intent whatsoever there. I have excessive amounts of remorse for Dominique and Davion." I mean, what goes through your mind with that?
Well, it's a performance. She's acknowledging that, I don't want to seem this way. Well, you should seem how you are. You should seem your authentic self, whatever it is that you're feeling, not, putting on a mask.
So was it a performance also, I'm going to ask, in court? Because again, we have these.
I say yes. Does anyone who doesn't think it was a performance, does anyone think she was being genuine in court? I mean, press 1 if you think she was being genuine. Press 2 if you think she was trying to win the Academy Award and give a performance. So 1, she was genuine. 2, not so much.
Competing narratives with her and almost split personality. Let's watch her statement in elocution. And it appears like she's crying, but we'll talk about it.
Or anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So talk to me about, she had to prepare this statement. Is she choosing the words to fool the court? Does she think that she's fooling the court there?
Yes. I mean, I think that there is some degree of realization that she's not going to be with him anymore, that she misses him. But, I think at that point, everything is sort of crashing down on her and she's realizing that this is over, that she was found guilty. But some of the tears I think are real, but,
well, there's a big difference between self-pity tears and afraid of the consequences you might experience tears versus actually feeling bad for what you did. It's similar to how you could confuse a narcissistic person's sensitivity to criticism and being called out for them actually feeling bad for what they did. Those are two very different things, right? And one of the ways they're two very different things is if they continue doing the problematic behaviors. Then oh yeah, they didn't really care that they were hurting you. They were more upset they got called out for it. That's really what bothered them. So some people, though, they make that mistake and they think, oh my goodness, they seem so upset when they were called out and whatever. I think they feel so bad about what they did. They must really love me so much. And I would say, well, you got to be really careful with that because that's not always what's happening. In fact, many times, if it's that kind of person, they're just feeling bad about the consequences. And that's a very different thing.
But she had planned it all out. There was so much more that she could have and should have said, and she didn't.
Are we dealing with a very dangerous person? Should she be in a maximum security prison?
Well, there have reports have come out from people who are in prison with her, and supposedly she is being very promiscuous with women, and being like a diva. And so some of the things in her personality, this entitlement, this I'm narcissism, they're still there, and that is probably one of the reasons why her boyfriend wanted to break up with her. But she's not being, she says, I'm going to be this perfect prisoner or words to that effect, but she isn't. She's doing things for herself. She's trying to, play people for herself.
Is that survival, to be devil's advocate here, or is it still going along with, your suspected diagnosis here of her being a psychopath?
Well, of course, there's some survival in it. Trying to be friends with the most dangerous people and all that. But you were saying my diagnosis, and yes, I think she's a psychopath, but also I think she's a borderline personality. And that is how and why she was acting the way she was with her boyfriend. And that is why he wanted to get rid of her. There were times when he would ask his mother to call her parents to get her out of his house. It seems like she was somewhat of a stalker, but she just wanted to be with him. And apparently he couldn't deal with all of her emotional highs and lows.
Yeah. And, I recently spoke with.
And again, borderlines have a fear of abandonment a lot of times. It's one of the staples. Now, they can also have a fear of engulfment, but usually it can be both, though. You can have a fear of abandonment and a fear of engulfment, but usually that fear of abandonment's there. And I don't know if I'm seeing that with her. If it's more of the fear of engulfment, okay, maybe that. But again, it depends on what her motivating force was for demanding that Dominic open the door. Or remember when she said, if you don't open the door, I'm going to key your car? What was the motivating factor there? Was it a fear of abandonment? Or was it just more of the need for control? I don't know. I'd have to learn more about that dynamic and what brought it about.
Kat Crowder, who was in prison with her. And I'm going to play part of that. And you let me know if anything stands out from this interview. You see any remorse?
Not at all. I never once saw her drop a tear or look distraught like she is in that clip. I believe she's appearing like that in court because it's hitting her that this is what her fate is. Her nodding her head and saying no, in my perspective, it's more along the lines of still trying to continue that I didn't do it, this wasn't planned, it's whatever. And because in prison, when I was there with her, never did I ever see a sad Mackenzie. It was always somebody who was very happy-go-lucky, chipper, smile on her face, laughing, strutting around the yard. It was never anybody who looked like that in the court hearing or like the Mackenzie that was in the Netflix documentary. It's all very different people, which I kind of think speaks on how she's able to kind of feel like a chameleon, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that kind of goes along with a lot of what you're saying, yes. Doctor.
A chameleon. So any cluster Bs, they don't have a real self. There's nothing. A lot of people think that's just borderlines that don't. But no, narcissists don't either. But they just present in different ways a lot of times. So the borderlines, especially if they don't have as much of that grandiosity and feelings of superiority, that's often why they're going to try on these different identities a lot. Now, narcissists, often they can be a little more, they can appear more together on the surface a lot of times. Now, that would be something that with with Mackenzie, I don't know about that, right? But they can also try on some identities as well because they don't have a genuine attachment to whatever identity they have. So when you don't have a genuine attachment to it, you can really just try them on. Sort of like how they use people, right? They can use people like an object. And when you use people as an object because you have impaired empathy, you can discard them and use them as you wish. You don't really feel too much about it.
And is one of the descriptors of borderline personality disorder, that they're often described as a chameleon, changing their behavior and attitude and all that according to where they are, to fit into where they are and to do what they think they need to do in that time.
Is part of that having relationships when it's people in prison? Because I also have a clip of her alleged lover in prison that's been on social media kind of talking about their relationship and her demeanor in prison. Is that also a coping? Is that also just survival?
Well, you're more generous than I am.
I give people the benefit of the doubt, but
I mean, you could say that, but But I think there's just too much that shows that there is ill will behind it, that there's some malevolence behind it, not just that she's trying to stay alive.
Yeah, let's play part of that. This is from Cheyenne, and she posted these clips on social media. So I'm going to play them, and then you just let me know what you think on the other side.
Probably like a week or two shy of my out date when me and Mackenzie really started talking. I didn't walk up to her because the way she upheld herself and stuff is kind of like a mean girl aura, like full Regina George radiating off her. Told me she woke up at
Okay, first off, I'm going to pause it right there because we've heard a lot from people calling her a mean girl in prison. Your thoughts?
Yes. She was supposedly a fan of one of the actresses who was in the.
And I think she could be comorbid with bipolar, but borderline BPD is not bipolar. Now, they can be similar to one another, and narcissism can be comorbid with bipolar as well. And again, the symptoms of narcissism can mimic bipolar too, like not TWO, but TOO, because there's such a thing as bipolar type 2. That's a diagnosis too. So it can get pretty tricky, and a lot of these things can overlap as well. And you have to pay attention to the substance use too, because substance use can also mimic bipolar at times.
Movie of Mean Girls, and yes, I think that would describe her. She does have these different sides to her, but I'm not saying multiple personality or anything. But I think that she may think that that's sometimes that's the way to survive. But also, even with her boyfriend, even before this incident, I think she was sometimes a mean girl. Because.
But there's the thing, though. Who said this? Snoop. If you gave her a mood stabilizer, that wouldn't help her entitlement. That wouldn't help her impaired empathy. That wouldn't help her arrogance. And that wouldn't help her other narcissistic traits. All a mood stabilizer does when you treat someone's bipolar, it levels out your mood. That's it. That doesn't touch your character, though. That's why medicines aren't really to treat cluster B personality disorders, because they're not supposed to impact what the real issue is. The real issue has to be worked on through behavior modification. Things like a SMART recovery or 12-step program, you apply those principles. Even CBT and DBT, they can also be helpful for personality disorders if they're very willing. And that's the problem with a lot of them. They're not willing. They're not willing. They don't admit they have a problem. They're constantly blaming others, so they never start the process. So, again, I think if you gave Mackenzie a mood stabilizer, I don't think it would help her that much. It might maybe stop a little bit of the drug use, but ultimately the issue is her character and her traits. That's really the problem in my eyes.
She had these big changes in personality, these big emotions, and some of that is some of the ways that she's protecting herself. Defensiveness is by being a mean girl.
All right, let's listen a little bit more.
5 a.m. every morning just to do her makeup, her hair, and look good. She's telling me all this stuff like this. So
okay, so I also heard from former inmate Kat Crowder, who I interviewed, also talking about the fact that she had a lot of makeup from commissary, and she would wake up very, very early to make sure that she put on the makeup and looked a certain way in prison. What does that tell you?
Well, it's like the same thing as her being an influencer, where that's what they do to look as good as they can and to be on all the time, to be acting. You need your makeup to act.
Okay, this girl, her boyfriend died that she planned on marrying. She said she has a condition and that she even went to therapy to try to figure out what happened. So I'm like, okay, it's pulling at my heartstrings. And she was showing me all the scars from the crash and all of that. And she's like, look at my body from what this happened. I would never purposely do that to myself. Still believe maybe she could be innocent. But then I just seen red flag after red flag.
Okay, red flag after red flag. She still could be innocent. That's kind of surprising to hear from someone that kind of admits, hey, she kind of puts on a front.
Right. It's interesting because these putting on the makeup and wanting to have wanting to give, it's like she's still, I don't think she can from prison still do social media, right? Still do videos, but it's like living in that sort of fantasy world.
Can you imagine that? It's wild. You even have to ask that question. Oh, can you do social media from prison? And it's like, you would normally think just immediately no, but considering the perks that some of them have, yeah. I mean, she can text people, she can call people. So is it that much of a stretch to even have to ask that question? I don't think so, but it's wild. Wild, the privileges some of them have.
Where she's the influencer, so she has to do all this. She has to be ready to do all this. She's very sick, and yes, people who say that they don't need rehabilitation or that they're not mentally ill are the people who are most in need of rehabilitation and are mentally ill. I mean, mentally ill, and they're all different kinds of being mentally ill. But now there is one interesting part to it, in that because she was so narcissistic, you would think that she wouldn't want to do anything to herself that would make her have scars. That part is reasonable to wonder, why would she? I mean, although maybe she just felt that she wasn't gonna be injured because it was the way she went into the wall.
Oh, really? I never thought about that. Maybe the way she tried to position the car.
Yes, complicated. I've heard Sam Vaknin say that the borderline was secondary psychopathy. I don't know if I completely agree with it. I think it just depends. It depends on each version of borderline. My favorite content about borderline is from Christine Ann Lawson. She talks about the borderline mother and the 4 kinds: the witch, the hermit, the waif, and the queen. I thought that was a pretty good demonstration.
Yeah, because it was the right side that got most of the damage. So maybe
I never thought about that. That is so diabolical and so very, very disturbing.
Did you hear what she just said? She said that she thinks at the last minute she turned the car so that the boy's side was going to hit the impact first. That would not surprise me one bit. Even though I've heard people trying to say, oh, the Pats, she might have blacked out. And I was like, I don't think so. I think that's a convenient excuse. I don't think it would look this way if she really passed out. One, I think they would have been able to pull her over and get her, to get the foot off the gas, for one, turn away from these brick walls, something, if she was truly passed out. But the fact that she was able to do this and they were just there, I don't know, it'd be very interesting to see what that last 60 to 90 seconds in the car was like.
Yes.
Is there any hope for someone like that?
There's always hope. But she needs a lot of therapy, years and years.
Yeah.
So she can say there's always hope, but I would caution people to really having any, because when it comes to other people, you can't give them the willingness to change. You can't make them change. So you have to deal with what's in front of you. You can't just hope they'll do something different. Now, a lot of people stay in awful situations because they're hoping, but the hope gets them nowhere. The hope keeps them stuck in the trauma bond, which is not good.
It's interesting that that she did do it in this way, in my opinion, that purposely, that she did in this way. And kind of, I think, also they were on drugs. So part of the whole thing is that how much was she able to plan? I mean, I think she planned these things in advance, but how much was she able to regulate it? How she went into the wall. And I mean, surely she could do it so that she went in on the right side instead of the driver's side. But she wasn't exactly 100% coherent and thinking straight.
Yeah, and there's talk about her having done a dry run in that area, and the fact that in her other social media clips that are in the documentary, she's not wearing a seatbelt, but she.
So, and they only say she had trace amounts of THC. Now, another question is shrooms, etc. Was she on them? Because that's a hard thing to drug test for, really. I don't think she was, but don't quote me on that. But I know there was trace levels of THC. I don't really think substances were the cause of this crash.
She was that day. Yeah, she's a very dangerous person, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if when it's time for her to be able to be paroled, I don't know, that I don't think it's necessarily going to be a good thing. But, I guess that will depend upon, it'll depend upon what she's doing in jail, in prison now, in large part. But, it is, I don't know how much she can improve herself, how much therapy she could get, or what she can do in the time that she has in prison to improve herself where she wouldn't be so dangerous. I mean, she's going to be like, oh God, what's the name of the woman in Arizona?
Jodi Arias. I've kind of called her that before.
Yes. So she's probably going to have men writing to her in prison and all that. But my recommendation is that these men don't plan to meet up with her in real life.
Yeah. So what does that look like when she goes up for parole? Do they take into account this Netflix documentary and how it ended at the end with her looking over at stopping and then looking over at her attorney that's been there the whole time and then saying, she doesn't want to come across a certain kind of way?
Yeah, I think it's going to tell the people who are judging whether she gets parole, telling them that this girl is acting. This girl wants to present herself in a certain way. And so we have to be really careful that this is how she really is. What I think was interesting, the fact that she did a bench trial instead of a jury trial. Now, I don't know whether it would have been any different, whether the outcome would have been any different. But, maybe somebody told her, or her lawyer thought that just having it be decided by the judge would be better, because if there was a jury, they would hate her. I'm not sure whether that was what it was. Or
I actually think that was a terrible decision by her, a defense attorney. Why the hell would you ever just want the decision in one person's hands? In a case like this in particular, where there's could have been more room for reasonable doubt. And granted, I'm no Mackenzie fan at all. But just when Shadow and I put our lawyer's hat on, we would say, I think a good defense lawyer could have gotten this reduced to something. That's what I think. And I think if there's a jury trial, there's more likely of a chance that could have happened. So I really don't know what the hell they were thinking with that. But also, as you're still here, please remember to like the video because likes are free. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and say hello to the flock of black sheep in the live chat.
Or whether that was the right answer, it
was very surprising because, my time covering trials at Court TV and Coast to Coast, at that point, what do you have to lose? So, just roll the dice and see if maybe you can get a sympathetic ear on the jury, especially because she was such a young offender. And they're going to take that into account, even though they're not supposed to. But that's something that they have to see every day.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, I guess there is. I'm not sure who gave her that. When I first read about that, I thought to myself, I don't think this was good advice.
No.
Because there probably could have been, or maybe would have been, one sympathetic ear.
Yeah.
You would have thought so. I truly don't get it at all why they would want just that one woman judge. And honestly, I think you'd have a better shot with a male judge being sympathetic to a woman like that, honestly, than you would a woman judge. I don't know. But what do you think, Shat? Do you think who would be more lenient on Mackenzie, a man or a woman? I tend to think a man would be. Now, granted, will all men and all women be the same? No, of course not. But I don't know. That's kind of that would be my guess.
What do you expect prison life is going to be like for her?
Well, she's going to be writing a book. Do you know that? Her mother was saying something to her about, write your book, or so. I think she's thinking that that's going to be another way to get fame after the documentary. After people have seen the documentary, and that's not new. Then a book coming out, and a book coming out in the way that she wants people to see this. I don't think her parents are going to come out well in her book. I don't know. She's going to want to blame it on somebody. So I'm not really sure whether she's going to claim. I mean, obviously it is true that whether she's a borderline or a psychopath or whatever her problems are, they are, she was only 17, they are caused by, parents, because those are the most influential people in your life. And so she may have things to say that would explain that, but I don't see what would excuse her, no matter what. I mean, what could they have done that would excuse this?
I guess the other question is, she could be.
So she said that her parents might have caused it. Again, I'll say enabled it for sure. They enabled it, but I do think there's some startup material. Mackenzie was going to be a handful no matter what her parents did. But I think the parents could have done a better job too.
Be moved to a maximum security prison, especially after the things that she's accused of doing and running businesses behind bars and the evidence of that. But do you think that she even survives making it to parole?
Oh, yeah. I don't.
Or is she going to make someone really mad in prison and that's going to be it?
She could. But, when people are high profile prisoners, they often get more protection. But, if she's being a mean girl, then yes, she's going to make her cellmates or her prison mates angry. So, but I mean, like Jodi Arias has survived.
Yeah, and that's another real winner right there.
That's the one you're all mentioning, Jodi.
I do want to end this conversation with focusing on the victims, Dominique Rousseau, who was 21, and Davion Flanagan, who was the friend that was killed, and he was 20. Their families end up with the true life sentence, and I always say this, and they're being re-victimized right now by this psycho who took these young lives. What's your advice to the family dealing with all of this right now?
Well, the families, or at least one family, has made a nonprofit. They are trying to give. I've heard two different things. One, a nonprofit to provide sneakers to give equipment to people who are want to be in sports in school. But then the other one is some kind of an award for people who want to be barbers.
Oh, that's fantastic, and trying to pay it forward with the memory of their loved one. But, it's just got to be so hard for them right now because it's all about, Mackenzie right now. So,
and at least one family member is working on getting a bill passed where she wouldn't be able to make money from whatever she does, another film or a book, or, because when Son of Sam, when the law was made with Son of Sam, there wasn't the internet, there were many ways to promote this. And so they're trying to make a broader law against, the criminal doing.
That's fantastic. I know that in California, where I served as a journalist for a long time, you're not allowed to profit from your crimes, especially as heinous as this. So hopefully Ohio gets on board with stricter laws with that. Dr. Carol Lee.
Also, to note, folks, I'll be doing more of the professional guests, whether they're psychologists or other true crime folks, because I think YouTube is not really liking me covering other people's stuff as much anymore. There was a time when they did, but not as much anymore. So we have to roll with the times.
Lieberman, how can we get a hold of you? How can we follow you? You're fantastic.
Thank you. Well, they could go to my website, expertwitnessforensic.psychiatrist.com.
Okay. And I'm going to have that in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
For more on the case, please head to the video section of this YouTube channel and you can watch the full.
Mackenzie Shirilla's text messages after the deadly crash that left 2 young men dead shed a whole other light on this case. So we're going to break down the conversations that she had after this incident that would ultimately see her behind bars, and more details from a police report that gives us a better understanding of this investigation. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, if you're watching this and you're into content creation or you're putting things out on social media, you might be wondering, how do we get all these clips out there so quickly? Well, we use something called Opus Clip.
Opus Clip, eh?
So go to opus.pro/sidebar to get a free week and then 50% off. You know, I say text messages are sometimes such powerful evidence because once a message is sent, it can be very hard to argue that you didn't send it or you didn't mean what you wrote. And that is why I want to address right now the communications in the Mackenzie Shirilla case. We have been covering all aspects of the young woman who was found guilty by a judge in a bench trial back in 2023 of 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools, all in connection with the July 31st, 2022 car crash that killed her boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and their friend, Davion Flanagan. Dominic was 20, Davion was 19. Now, the 17-year-old, Shirilla at the time, mashed down the accelerator, never tried to brake. This is according to investigative reports, sailed over a curb, through a business sign, into a brick wall. Now, Shirilla has insisted that ever since she has no memory whatsoever of the crash or the minutes leading up to it, which we'll get into, because she and her family have suggested that she has a diagnosis of POTS. It's a medical condition that can cause dizziness or fainting. So they claim Shirilla must have blacked out, which is why she drove off the road. Shirilla's mother even testified at the bench trial that she'd seen her daughter exhibit symptoms of POTS, but the defense never called a medical examiner to testify that Shirilla actually has the condition, so it didn't seem to convince the judge. By the way, there was no evidence of a car malfunction. There was no evidence of intoxication from drugs or alcohol. Shirilla, she was arrested several months after the tragedy, so in November of 2022, and after her 2023 trial, she was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole starting in 2037. But Shirilla and her family have continued to maintain that she's innocent. And this includes in her first on-camera interview from behind bars in a new documentary on Netflix called The Crash. For example, she told the documentary's producers, "I'm not a monster. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy, but I'm not a murderer." When asked about a relationship with Dominic, which we're going to explore in a little bit more, "We would have probably been married by now. We argued, we got back together, we broke up, we got back together. It was rocky, but it was good. We were in love." And then she added, when it was revealed that her attorney was reportedly right there in the room next to her during this interview on tape, which she did again from behind bars, she added, quote, "I'm big on the no intent. There was no intent whatsoever there. I have excessive amounts of remorse for Dominic, Davion, both of their families. This was not intentional, and I will do everything I can to prove that to the world and the families, and that's it." I give all that backstory to talk now about text messages. When you go to this phone records document, which is, by the way, up on Law and Crime Plus, our app, you go to the case files section. We have a whole section for Mackenzie Shirilla on all the documents if you want to do a deep dive into the case. What you see, for example, are multiple attempts by Mackenzie Shirilla to contact what appears to be members of the Russo family, particularly Dominic's mother. So this is after the crash, again, before she was arrested in November of 2022. So for example, in August, so this is just a short time after the crash, Shirilla writes, apparently in reference to Dom's funeral, "I love you so much, Miss Russo. I'm sorry for being on FaceTime, made you guys upset. I just needed to see if he looks so peaceful, and thank you guys for putting pictures of me. I'm so sorry, you guys. I wish I could be there to hug you. I love you all so much, and I'm so sorry." I'm so sorry, Miss Russo. I love you all so much. I'm so sorry that this happened. I miss him so much. I wish I could be there for you guys. I will always be here for you, and when I'm out of the hospital, I can take care of you whenever you need. And then she talks about what she wants to put in his coffin. I tried to ask Angelo, but would you be able to go in Dom's room and go into his bedroom and on his back desk and grab some stuff to put in his coffin? I just wanted to be with him. And she seemed to be very aware that she needed to be careful and not cross any lines.
Seems pretty performative, but what do you think? I mean, you can't, if you didn't know her, maybe you would say, well, seems genuine enough. But putting it in context, you're like, well, knowing what we know about her, that seems pretty performative.
With this family, because look at this message from August 9th. "Just let me know if you want me to stop bothering you. I will always be here when you're ready to talk." And remember, she's still in the hospital after the crash recovering. For example, this one from September 23rd. "I don't want to bother you, and I feel bad for asking. If you guys are doing something for Dom's birthday and you don't want me to come, are you going to go to the grave and maybe we can meet there or something? I'm sorry." And it goes into October. Again, a month before her arrest, she's still reaching out. And a big theme is, why do people hate her? If you don't hate me, I don't understand why they all hate me. And after there's an exchange about Instagram, again, maybe Dom's mother, Mackenzie writes back, "I know I could help you if you want to, but I was just telling you I don't understand why they hate me if you don't hate me. I'm really stressed out about people moving my things or making it look different than it was when Dom lived there," because I think they had been living together. "My top priority is just being able to go inside of that house and just be there for the day. It hurts that everybody but me is allowed in the house. It already hurts seeing all of his friends there at night spending time with you, but it hurts even worse seeing I'm the only one not allowed in his house that I spent the most time in."
All about her. So that's where a little bit more of the mask slips. Notice she's being much more polite than she would be with her dad via the texts and probably her mom on phone. But all that is me. It's all about me. I feel bad. I'm hurt. Buy for me. Buy for me. Instead of like, you know what? They just lost their loved one. So how about you actually be a little more concerned about their feelings too, huh? That's a little bit too much to ask, though, for her.
"I just don't get why everybody has to hate me. It just makes me hate myself even more. I wish everybody would just not hate me."
Victim routine, Eeyore routine, woe's me. That's what that was. Like, actually, you know what? You were behind the wheel and two people were killed. I mean, what do you want them to say? Sweet Caroline, thank you so much for this. Shadow says thank you too. Love this channel, she says. Well, we love you too, Sweet Caroline. Shadow says thank you for the soy-free Hootie snacks. He's always looking forward to them. For everyone else, likes are free, so is subscribing to the channel. And thank you again, Sweet Caroline.
"I really can't tell if you hate me or not. I feel like if you didn't hate me, you wouldn't let me come over or be there for you, or you would tell everybody that they shouldn't hate me. But I feel like you just don't like me, and I wish you would just tell me so I could stop bugging you." The response back is, "This is all emotional. I can't tell anyone to do anything. I don't hate you. Gosh, I'm having a tough time with just not having my son." The response back from Shirilla is, "You can't tell them to, but you could tell them that you don't hate me, and it's hard for me to. I'm also having a tough time. He was the love of my life, and I spent my last 4 years every day with him pretty much. I just don't understand why I'm the only one not allowed in."
What did I say? So this is the mother. "This is all emotional. I can't tell anyone to do anything. I don't hate you. Gosh, I'm having a tough time with just not having my son." That's where Mackenzie has zero social calibration. It's like, dude, why are you playing the victim to someone who just lost their son in a car accident. Like, are you dumb? Are you being socially retarded? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, seriously. But that's the cluster B.
Side of his house. I know he wouldn't want this. I didn't just lose Dom, lost my whole other family, and that's you guys. Now, there were several times during the course of these communications where the conversation circles back to what exactly happened that night, and that Sharilla claims she can't remember. For example, Sharilla was asked, "What made you start speeding?" Sharilla responds, "I don't remember the accident. All I remember is turning on the street and then my vision fading into black. I wish I could remember it. Would make me feel a little bit better." So this is a message from Christine Russo, again, Dominic's mother, to Sharilla. It says, "I would do anything to have you both with me like before, but you need and you have to understand how one feels about this. Your driving killed my son, their brother, and their best friend. No one has any answers about why this accident occurred."
So this is correct. This is basically what I was saying. This is from the mother. It's not like that. It is not you. This has been nothing but heartbreaking. I would do anything to have you both with me like before, but you need and you have to understand how one feels about this. You killed my son. Your driving killed my son, their brother, and their best friend. No one has any answers about why this accident occurred and why you drove directly into a building which resulted in 2 young men dying. It was not an ordinary car accident. If it was, we would not be having this conversation. Exactly right. I didn't know, yeah, because she's dumb, so she didn't know she felt that way. I didn't know you felt that way. I hope you would know I would never do this on purpose. I needed him more than anybody. Me. Anybody on this earth. He was my everything. Me. The cluster B and me. She can't help it because she has a narcissistic operating system. She sees everything through the lens of me. Entitled, selfish, arrogant, socially uncalibrated. It's like, it's annoying to even read this.
And why you drove directly into a building which resulted in 2 young men dying. It was not an ordinary car accident. If it was, we would not be having this conversation. Sharilla responds, "I didn't know you felt that way. I hope you would know I would never do this on purpose. I needed him more than anybody on this earth. He was my everything." The response back, "I was explaining to you why it's difficult for things to try to be normal as they never will be. It still never answers what happened that night." Sharilla responds, "I wish I could remember just as much as you want to know why. It kills me not being able to remember because if I could help, I would. I wasn't asking for life to be normal. It's never going to be the same for me either." And then I got to read you this one where Sharilla responds, "I did not do this on purpose. If I knew any of this would happen, I would have made sure it was me that died. I would think you would understand, but good to know that you think it's all my fault. I do understand that nothing is ever going to be the same. We're in the same boat. We both lost extremely important people to us." Then there's another part that says, "Everybody's life is hell. Everybody is broken over this. It's not just you and Angelo, and I wish I could take that pain away from you guys and just make it so it's only me. I try so hard to tell you guys that I would never do this on purpose, and I thought you would know that." Then there's this one. "Could you please try to help me get people to see that I didn't do this on purpose? Seriously hurts my soul that anyone thinks that, and I can't sleep knowing that." This is from October 14th. And then it also says, "I don't want to lose any more of."
So it sounds like she's trying to control the image and control the narrative, and she wants the victims' families to help her control the narrative. And honestly, why would they be willing to help her do that when they're unsure of themselves whether she did it intentionally or not? So, ridiculous.
My family. There's a message to Sharilla that says, "No one says that directly. I just said looking from the other side, it's hard to explain anything when you said you don't remember any of it." And then Sharilla responds, "I know everybody thinks that though, especially Angelo and I care so much about him, even though he hates me. You guys are my family. I've just been having a rough couple days. I'm trying really hard to talk to everybody." There's this one. "Can we please just try to fix this? All I know is it's never going to be the same, but I want to be able to come spend time with you guys. I wish I could bring you guys closer or tell you what happened. If I could remember anything, I would tell you." Now she's asked, "What's the last thing you remember?" "I remember turning onto the street and then my vision fades to black. It really kills me not."
I don't buy it. I remember turning onto the street and then my vision fades to black. It really kills me not being able to understand or not being able to remember anything. I promise you I would tell you. I've been asking my therapist why I don't remember, and she said it's because of trauma. But, of course, your therapist. I would ask her therapist, it's like, dude, if you can't see she's cluster B, I don't know what to tell you. And what's good to tell you, a lot of therapists don't know what the heck they're talking about, unfortunately, especially when it comes to cluster B. Says because of trauma, but I'm going to try to get hypnotized and make myself remember. I wonder what would have happened if she did that.
Being able to remember anything, I promise you I would tell you. I've been asking my therapist why I don't remember, and she said it's because of trauma, but I'm going to try to go get
trauma. Oh, dear. Sweet Caroline. Thank you so much for this, Sweet Caroline. Mackenzie says, me. Us, shadow. That's right. Shadow likes the hootie snacks. We try to have humility around here. Humility, gratitude, giving back, volunteering. Those are the antidotes to me behavior, right? And the opposite of controlling is letting go. The opposite of entitled is humility. Those are things that I think she could have done. Those are things she could have probably used more of, for sure. But thank you very much, Sweet Caroline.
Hypnotized and make myself remember. And what's interesting also is how much in these conversations she talks about how much she loves Dom. So Sharilla writes at one point, life is just going to be effed up. He was just someone that did something for all of us and made us all feel loved and protected in a special way. He had a really certain soul that was like no other. I've never met anybody that was like him, and he grew so much in our relationship, it just hurts. He was a mama's boy. He would literally be there for you no matter what. And then there's this one. Our relationship was getting so real. Like I felt like we were going to get married soon. And S, it's just so bleeped.
Delusional.
Now, speaking of text messages, the text messages between Sharilla and Dominic are included in investigative paperwork. And I just want to take a look. I want to focus on a conversation that happened just 4 weeks before Dom's death. So this looks like he was trying to end things, even writing, there isn't very much time on earth. Quote, Kenzie, you know I love you, but I don't think we should be together at this point. There isn't very much time on earth, you know. I'd like to think we could stop fighting, but it's a breakup fight every week. Neither of us deserve that. I don't want to fight all the time. I know you don't either. Anyone who's around anyone every day of the week is bound to fight. If we can't separate for a little, then we're only going to fight more. I don't want you to think I'm abandoning you. I wish it could work, but I don't think it's going to at this point, especially with the threats.
Especially with the threats. See, that's the same thing Brian Hooker did, right? Brian Hooker threatened to end Lynette Hooker's life. And here Dom is mentioning the threats that he gave her, or she gave him, excuse me. Not to be ignored. Certainly not to be ignored, those threats. Because look, you could say she followed through. She threatened to crash the car. Well, she followed through.
You just break up so we can both find happiness somewhere else. And that text was followed up by another one just a few hours later, asking Sharilla if she wants to try to work things out. Now, there's another document, a police department document that lays out essentially the whole timeline of this investigation. It's up on Law and Crime Plus, the app as well. And a part of that are these text messages between Sharilla and Christine Russo. Now, we believe, again, this to be Dom's mother, not his sister, who share the same name. But I'm going to read you these exchanges. So January 30th, 2021, Mackenzie writes, Dom is texting me being really crazy, so please keep an eye on him. I'm worried AF. January 31st, 2021. Mackenzie writes, I didn't mean to make him flip out. I just can't take him yelling at me all night and all day. Russo responds, I know, you should have just hugged him. March 5th, 2022. Russo writes, hey, just go home. Avoid any conflict, please. You can call me. Mackenzie writes, I'm Jay waiting to talk to him. Russo responds, they just left. It's going to be a while. You should respect his space while he's gone. Russo says, I asked you to leave. You should have respect and left. Mackenzie writes, he's home now. July 2nd.
Yeah, she's out of control. I mean, it's all about her and what she wants, and she doesn't know how to respect anyone else's boundaries and needs. Why is that? Because her parents certainly never put her in place, ever. And her dad starts with her dad too, though, right? Like, her dynamic with the mom wasn't very good either. But the dad, he enabled it. He didn't put his foot down. And that's on him.
2022. So this is right before the crash, only a few weeks before the crash, right? July 2nd, 2022. Russo writes, don't fight, just leave, take a break. Mackenzie writes, I already left Dom, need some therapy, he's so mean.
Huh. He's so mean. A cluster B translation, narcissistic translation, he's so mean. Oh, he said the truth to me and held up a mirror. Oh no, they're so mean. That's the cluster B translation.
July 17th, 2022. Mackenzie writes, can you come get Dom? He just grabbed my steering wheel on the highway trying to spin out my car and hurt me. Mackenzie writes,
I think that sounds like some BS.
I'm scared to drive because it's raining, so I just need him to get picked up. If he doesn't get out of my car, I'm calling my dad, so please tell him to get out. Russo responds, Hench is on his way. Calm down for now, please. Mackenzie writes, TBH, to be honest, I can't calm down when he just tried to end my life. Mackenzie writes, then he lied to you about it. Russo writes, I'm just trying to diffuse for now. I'm not mad at anyone. Mackenzie says, I don't think he's capable of that when he keeps telling me to shut up and to duct tape my mouth. Mackenzie says, I don't feel safe. He's also threatening to blackmail.
You don't feel safe. You don't feel safe. You drove 100 miles per hour into a brick wall, killing 2 people. They shouldn't be feeling safe around you. But look at her flipping it, right? This is her flipping it to his mom. What is this? Darvo, deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender, playing the victim, flipping it around to make it seem like, oh, actually, your son's the problem, not me. Obnoxious. And notice the tone. Notice the tone so much different after they're gone. After they're dead, because this is before, of course, they're dead. Completely different, the tone. What do you know? Not a coincidence.
Me to my mom. He's not getting out. He also blocked me, so I can't go pick up any of my belongings at his house. I hope this is a learning experience for him on what not to do to women, because I really don't think he knows how to treat them all.
Oh my God. I hope this is a learning experience for him on what not to do to women, because I really don't think he knows how to treat them all. Shadow has something to say, Mackenzie. Shadow says, I hope this is a learning experience for you, Mackenzie. How entitled, selfish, arrogant, how much lack of empathy you have, and your narcissism and your psychopathic traits. I hope this is a lesson for you to reflect on where you are and why you're there. You're actually lucky that it's concurrently serving 15 to life as opposed to consecutively. You got a break of that. So Shadow wants you to reflect, and he already knows if you don't think you need rehabilitation, you already are not reflecting, and you're right where you belong. As they would say in the Disney movie, Mackenzie's right where she belongs, in prison.
I don't think he knows how to treat them all. Russo responds, stop the fighting and stop lying. When he gets his things, you can get yours. Mackenzie says, first of all, I'm not lying about anything. Maybe you shouldn't take his word so seriously. You don't know how he treats me behind closed doors. It's never okay to try to end somebody's life or put their hands on people. Russo responds, no one should touch anyone. No.
Oh my goodness. This is frustrating to read, I'll tell you. Sweet Caroline. We love Sweet Caroline too, don't we, Shadow? So more soy-free hootie snacks. Shadow's very testosterone and hormone conscious, by the way. For everyone else, likes are free. So is subscribing. So is telling 10 friends. And as always, super chats, super stickers, and becoming a member. Great ways to support the channel. Shadow's getting frustrated by this one, Sweet Caroline, because this woman's a master manipulator, Mackenzie. And I'm glad, I'm glad the judge saw through it. That's what I'm glad about. Shadow's very glad too. And reading all this, it's like, you know what? If you didn't know any better, you might be tempted to feel bad for her almost, or say, even the defense lawyer in shadow and I said, yeah, well, we probably could have gotten her a better sentence. But like, as I'm reading through this, it shouldn't make a difference technically, but it makes me more glad. It makes me and Shadow more glad she is where she is. So thank you very much, sweet Caroline.
Fighting for sure in the car. He never put his hands on you. Mackenzie says, you need to tell him that. He tried to end my life today and told me, do you want to die? Mackenzie writes, I almost hit the wall and I could have died. So eerily, very eerie considering what happened.
What do you think that is? A projection of what she's thinking, maybe? We could have hit the wall and died? Oh, what do you know? Like exactly what ended up happening, except the situation was reversed?
Happened only a few weeks later. Russo responds, and you haven't blackmailed him with the cops 100 times? But when police followed up with Hench, the friend who picked up Dom during that early July incident, Dom claimed it was Sharilla who threatened to crash the car. And that was relayed to police in an interview with it saying, quote, I asked Russo about a text message exchange with Mackenzie dated July 17, 2022. At approximately 12:45 hours, Mackenzie asked Russo to pick up Dominic from her car, which was stopped at the side of an unknown highway. Mackenzie claimed Dominic had grabbed her steering wheel in an attempt to spin out the car and hurt her. Russo explained that Mackenzie always blamed Dominic for whatever issues were going on between them. She further added that Dominic called...
Always blamed Dominic. What does that sound like? The consistently externalizing the blame, because narcissistic people are allergic to accountability and they break out in blame shifting, making excuses, victimhood, flipping the script, word salad, gaslighting, coercive control. That's how you know Mackenzie, she's allergic to accountability. And unfortunately, there's no EpiPen for this version of allergy.
Called her and calmly asked her to come pick him up because Kenzie is being crazy. She's threatening to crash the car on the highway. Christopher Martin, who goes by Hench, picked up Dominic that day. He was identified by Russo as a friend of Dominic.
I want to see something here really quick. I want to see this other text exchange again, because I think I missed something at the bottom of it. You haven't blackmailed 100 times. Yes, you did. He never put his hands on you. Good. I hope he didn't. You shouldn't take your own son's words so seriously. Oh my God. Oh, hideous. And you know what's really frustrating to me also? I know there's therapists I know that don't even think that Mackenzie's a narcissist. Or narcissistic at the least. I'm like, oh my God. How don't you think that? Like literally therapists I know think that. It's like, how can you think that?
Only a few weeks later, Russo responds, and you haven't hours. Mackenzie asked Russo to pick up Dominic from her car, which was stopped at the side of an unknown highway. Mackenzie claimed Dominic had grabbed her steering wheel in an attempt to spin out the car and hurt her. Russo explained that Mackenzie always blamed Dominic for whatever issues were going on between them. She further added that Dominic called her and calmly asked her to come pick him up because Kenzie is being crazy. She's threatening to crash the car on the highway. Christopher Martin, who goes by Hench.
Now, what I wish his mom would have done is say, hey, Dom, you should leave her alone. Like, get out of there. And I don't know where the dad was, but if I was the dad too, I read this stuff, I'd be like, dude, you got to be gone, baby, gone. Because there's no healthy relationship with women like her. It's just not going to happen. And they're experts at twisting and distorting, flipping the script, victimhood, all that stuff. And once that's how it is, there's no such thing as a successful relationship with them. There is no such thing as a healthy relationship. And you have to really accept that. Like what we say, one of the hardest things is realizing they are not like normal people. They are just not. They're not like normal people. You cannot make the mistake of thinking they are. They are much different than normal people. And again, this is a case of an extreme example of it, because they don't all end up murdering people. But here we are. And just like the other story with Anna Kepner, That's an extreme example of what happens when a dysfunctional family sweeps problems under the rug. Oh, okay. Step brother has a crush on step sister. And oh, yeah. It's like the critical, or what do they say in that movie? I think it was Dodgeball. Because, oh, yeah, let's put them in the same room together. What can go wrong? What can go wrong if you put them in the same room together when he has a crush on her and he's been trying to break into her room, and the boyfriend has said to her dad, oh yeah, she's uncomfortable in his presence. He's trying to break into the room. Recipe for disaster, right? But they said, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Like, no, it will not be fine. Between this case and that case, you got to take action. So many people are afraid to take action. They become paralyzed. But no, if you don't take action, in the worst cases, people will literally wind up dead. And unless you want that to happen, no one wants to think it's going to be them, though, either, right? No one wants to think it will not be my son that essays and murders his stepsister. It won't be my son that does that. Or it won't be my daughter that runs into a brick wall at 100 miles per hour. But it's like, well, guess what? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. No one wants to think it, but it's essential to be honest with yourself.
Picked up Dominic that day. He was identified by Russo as a friend of Dominic. And several other witnesses talked about Sharilla's driving, including a friend, Kelly, who had been with Sharilla, Dom, and Davion at a party before the crash. Quote, when I asked her if she had ever been in the car with Mackenzie as the driver, she said no. Kelly mentioned that her friend Tess had told her that Mackenzie sucked at driving. Kelly believed Tess was someone who knew Mackenzie very well. And then there's this interview with Paul Burlinghouse, the friend who'd hosted the get-together. Quote, next, I inquired whether Paul had ever been a passenger in Mackenzie's car while she drove. He said, I've refused a ride from Mackenzie. When asked why, he said because she was a bad driver. He further explained that she got in fights while driving. He listed an incident between Mackenzie and her neighbor who confronted her about running a stop sign. Paul said he used to see Mackenzie zipping through Pearl Road after school. Paul said he refused rides from Mackenzie because he was not stupid and did not want to put himself in a situation he wouldn't want to be in. Paul mentioned Rosie, who was one of Mackenzie's passengers, told him, don't go in the car with Kenzie. It's not good.
Huh! What do you know? I wouldn't want to be behind the wheel with her. That's for sure. I mean, even before this, just knowing her, a lot of abusive people, they use the car as an avenue because you're trapped. You're trapped in the car, and they know it. They know you're trapped. They have the control.
And it turns out that Sharilla's Snapchat account was a treasure trove of information. The investigators compiled more than 130 videos or images that were related to Sharilla's driving. I mean, the report states, for example, Mackenzie is driving while simultaneously recording herself on Snapchat. A person in the driver's seat recorded a Snapchat video of the vehicle traveling at 90 miles per hour. Multiple videos exist of Mackenzie recording.
I forgot about this. I didn't see this, Sweet Caroline. I'm sorry. I got to go up here and see this. Thank you so much for this, Sweet Caroline. Shadow says thank you too. Sweet Caroline says, I love the way you deep dive into analyzing her behavior/personality. Jared and Shadow, best channel on YouTube. Amen. Say it again, Sweet Caroline. And hopefully, where our goal on this side of the street is to keep on improving and doing better things for the channel and for the flock of black sheep. And the way we see it is there's no improvement too small. No improvement too small. And the compound effect of small, consistent improvements can go really far away. So Shadow and I are very grateful for your support. We're very grateful for all of the flock of black sheep support. And as Sweet Caroline always says, the super chats are from everyone when they're from Sweet Caroline. So remember that too. So thank you so much, Sweet Caroline. I will continue these breakdowns, of course.
herself while driving without wearing the seatbelt over her shoulder. In others, the seatbelt is visible under her armpit. Mackenzie records the speedometer of the vehicle she's operating, traveling at 93 miles per hour. So again, when you look at this in the context of what happened to her, what happened to Dominic, what happened to Davion, it's just chilling, to say the least, right? And one of the aspects of the case that is getting a lot of attention is Sharilla's behavior after the crash, appearing to essentially...
Look at that ice. So Shadow and I are also professional face readers. What time is this at? 17:39. Write it down. Look at her face, though. Do you see any empathy or compassion or concern in her face? Press 1 if you do. Press 2 if you don't. Because Shadow and I don't see it. Those eyes, like dead. You ever seen the movie Jaws, where Quint, he talks about the great white sharks and have those white eyes? Because what happens is when a great white shark bites, it has this protective layer that goes over their eyes, so the bits of teeth or whatever that can come off when they bite doesn't like blind them. And what happens is their eyes roll back and that protective layer goes over their eyes, and it's just a white. And Quint said in Jaws, it's like a doll's eyes, because he was on the USS Indianapolis. And if you don't know, the USS Indianapolis was a battleship during World War II that was sunk by a Japanese torpedo. But that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was sharks were in the water. And he told the story of how the sharks would probably ate like 50 of them or so. And sometimes you would see someone at the top, but their legs and everything would be missing underneath. But he told the story of how when you see those white eyes, and then you hear the awful high-pitched screaming, as he said in the movie there. But that's what her eyes remind me of. Those glass doll eyes. Not to be trifled with. And again, knowing what we know, she killed people. And from what we see, Shadow and I are not surprised.
Live her life in a way where the argument was it didn't seem like she cared what happened. For example, here's what a police narrative says about trying to speak with Sharilla in the hospital. This is along with her dad, Steve, and her mom, Natalie. Quote, the three of us returned to the room. Mackenzie was conscious and alert. Goes on to say, I explained to all three the details of the search warrant and the basic nature of the investigation. Steve asked about video surveillance from the crash itself. I also informed them that SPD will be downloading the data from the Toyota's event data recorder pursuant to another search warrant. Natalie then inquired about the location of the Toyota. At some point, Mackenzie interrupted and addressed her mom in a language that I did not understand. Her mother replied, you can, indicating that she understood what Mackenzie had said. Mackenzie then turned to me and stated, take my whole license away for 10 years or something like that. Again, the argument would be not appreciating what happened, right?
Minimizing, deflecting, avoiding accountability.
Seriousness of what happened, the crime that she ultimately was convicted of. How about this? Apparently, one of Davion's family members emailed the detective a screenshot of Sharilla's Instagram, which was later shown during Sharilla's sentencing hearing. And it says, quote, this is a screenshot from our daughter Divine's phone of comments, the social media post from Kenzie about her modeling career. This post is from later in the week after the accident while Kenzie was in the hospital. Divine believes that it was approximately 2 days after the accident. The post was commented on by both Kenzie and her mother talking about furthering her modeling career. We are extremely upset to see this post and felt it was very disrespectful to our family's loss and to Davion and Dom. It is sickening that someone could be so self-absorbed after causing the death of two people and destroying any hopes of their future plans.
I should read this so I can pay attention. This is a screenshot from our daughter Davion's phone of the social media post from Kenzie about her modeling career. This post is from later in the week after the accident while Kenzie was in the hospital. Davion believes that it was approximately 2 days after the accident. The post was commented on by both Kenzie and her mother, talking about furthering her modeling career. It's like, dude, 2 days after the accident and you're already thinking about your modeling career? It's just, where's the social calibration? We are extremely upset to see this post and felt it was very disrespectful to our family's loss and to Davian and Dom. It is sickening that someone can be so self-absorbed after causing the death of 2 people and destroying any hopes of their future plans. Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Plans. Now, when I read that report, I will tell you some of the most impactful legal aspects of this police report are about the actual car data. Was this an accident or was it not, right? So you go to the report, it says, quote, Ohio State Highway Patrol Sergeant Ryan Fox emailed me his analysis of the EDR data. Prior to the Camry entering the intersection, a loud screeching sound can be heard from the business surveillance system camera that records the approach and crash of the Camry. This loud screeching is likely the result of a steering input of the driver and the inability of the tires and friction of the roadway to overcome the forward momentum of the vehicle. The vehicle's tires are likely turned as requested by the steering input reported, but the vehicle is continuing more in its original forward trajectory. This likely indicates manipulation of the steering wheel immediately prior to entering the intersection. The brake light that was illuminated mere fractions of a second prior to impact. The system will activate the rear brake lights to indicate the possible slowing of the vehicle to other motorists, even if the driver is not pressing on the brake pedal. The extreme driver input for the vehicle prior to the collision, the brake light activation, is likely the result of the safety systems working to avoid the impact ahead or return the vehicle to a straight orientation for the direction of travel. This likely indicates that although the steering wheel was manipulated left and right, no braking was applied by the operator. So there you go. Some more things to think about in the Mackenzie Shirilla case as it's back in the conversation. It's back in the dialogue. We're learning more information. We'll stay on top of it here on Sidebar.
That's what you call a black widow, Shadow says. There's black widows, and there's also people like Brian Hooker, and there's also people like Timothy Hudson. You have to watch out for them all, Shadow says. The dark triad personalities are genderless, Shadow wants to remind you all. They just take different form. Women, their version is usually more covert, which is tricky in its own way.
I like how they try to make it like enjoyable.
While you're here, though, please remember to like the video because likes are free. Spank the like button. Leave your DNA of choice in the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Say hello to the flock of black sheep in the live chat. We have some merch coming around soon. Got to get the Shopify store up and running. It's a little more complicated than I originally thought, but we're working on it. And as always, super chat, super stickers, and becoming a channel member or gifting memberships, great ways to support the channel. We usually go live 5 or 6 nights a week between 10 and 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about true crime, current events, and psychology. We also interview a lot of professionals on the channel, people such as Dr. Peter Salerno, Dr. George Simon, Dr. Z, her full name is Dr. Jamie Zuckerman, Dr. Carrie McAvoy, Dr. Mark Eatonson, people like Mike King from Profiling Evil. Hopefully we'll have Matt Murphy coming on the channel soon. Tony DeWitt from JD, a Lawyer Says. We've got him lined up. We just have to figure out what cases we'll be talking to him about. And then I got a whole list of people I'm going to invite. And I also do my own live streams where I don't talk or I don't go over any videos too. So in fact, 2 of my most popular videos recently, I didn't even go over anyone's other content, which is not lost on Shadow and I myself. But the first one was on Mother's Day, Toxic Mother stream. That did very good. And the second one was when I was just breaking down the toxic family system of Mackenzie. And for the majority of that video, it was just me. We weren't going over anyone's content. So check those videos out if you haven't seen them.
There, like I don't even like. I don't I want to enjoy life there, but like it's just sad. Like I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitation.
Named as a suspect in his billionaire father's death, Jonathan Andick was arrested Tuesday and taken to a Spanish court.
That was influencer Gabby Gonzalez giving advice about men days before her arrest for a conspiracy to murder the father of her child.
He is taking time out from socials because of all the trolling, the media frenzy.
Hey True Crime Besties, welcome back to an all-new episode of Serialously.
Look at the high production value this channel has. Shadow says, Jared, one day when you grow up and you can have a whole editing team and whatever, you can have some of this as well.
Hello, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Serialously with me, your host and your true crime bestie, tapping in for duty, Annie Elise. Hope you guys are all having a...
Shadow and Jared both wish Bethany's nephew a very happy birthday, as do the rest of the flock of black sheep. And also, it's the rest of the flock of black sheep's very happy unbirthday today.
Great week so far. Maybe you had a long weekend because of Memorial Day. I don't know. Maybe you had to work on Monday anyway, which that's ass if you did. I'm sorry, but welcome back. Hello. Happy to have you. This week has already been jam-packed with a lot of stuff going on. Monday, I dropped an episode, which maybe you listened to it Tuesday if you weren't driving to work on Monday. I don't know, but it's a wild one. If you haven't, you need to go listen. It's about 16-year-old Kayla Huff. She was murdered, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, his half-sister, and a collection of like 4 or 5 of their friends. They all plotted and schemed against her. And the motive was apparently because she walked in on her boyfriend having sex with his half-sister, not stepsister, half-sister. There's a lot of details with like the whole plot. I'm going to the house at 3 a.m, what they did to dismantle her car, where they lured her. There's surveillance footage. There's a lot. So that episode did release on Monday. Be warned, it is like diabolical. And then on Tuesday on the 10 to Life feed, which is my second true crime podcast, released an episode about Sierra Joggin. I covered this case for the very first time probably 4 years ago now, and it still to this day is one of the most horrific cases that I've covered. It's like this fetish barn in the middle of nowhere that has like all of these disgusting sex toys, this like perverted guy. It's very, very unsettling. So those cases are on the feed right now. Between the 2 feeds, you can go listen. But today we have other cases to talk about. Some new cases, some updates in cases, and just a lot going on. And so I'm going to just jump right into it without giving some big introduction, without trying to trick you and pretend you don't know who's here when you really do here, because Amy's here.
I'm back.
You're back.
That was
Hello.
scary.
I know. I had to do some sort of jump scare. I just didn't know how.
Okay, well, it's scary.
And we are about to leave on a jet plane to go to CrimeCon.
Yes.
Don't know when I'll be back again. John Denver.
Today. CrimeCon starts tomorrow. I'm not going to sing. It starts tomorrow, all weekend in Vegas. Here we go.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. It's going to be really good. And there's a lot of like great people going, a lot of great families going. It's going to be a really nice weekend.
I feel like, as lame as this phrase may be,
Oh
it
my
always
God.
fills my cup.
Okay.
But it does.
It does.
When I leave there, I feel like I'm reminded, like,
Ha! Shadow says, you see her cup here? That looks like a stainless steel cup too. And he said, it says, be nice. Don't kill people.
the important work you do and what our team does. And
it does fill cups. Let's get a new phrase, but it does fill our cups.
Okay.
But I
it
agree
fills,
with you.
what does Vicky Gumbelson say? It fills my love tank.
Is that what she says?
Remember from the OG season 1?
Fill up your love cup is what the expression is. Who is this person to the right here, by the way? I don't know her name.
I don't think I remember that.
Wow. I stumped you with Bravo trivia.
You did. I don't think I ever watched the early seasons. I know.
The Family Van?
I know the Family Van because of the meme, but that's about it. Yes. So CrimeCon this weekend, and we will be doing some Patreon only content from there. So now if you've been on the fence about joining, now is the time to join, because there's going to be a lot of not only exclusive content, but behind the scenes content. And
Maybe Shadow and I should have gone to CrimeCon. Where is it? Las Vegas? Is it in the same place every year?
and videos and stuff like that. So that is patreon.com/Annie Elise. I was thinking yesterday too, that's what I was going to do. Damn it. What a missed opportunity. I was going to introduce you by singing the song from The Hangover, because I know it by heart. The "What Do Tigers Dream of?" And so I was going to sing the whole thing, but then I was like, maybe I won't. And
maybe on our return back.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay, so let's start jumping into the cases that we've got today. And I want to start with the name on everybody's lips, not Roxy Hart, Mackenzie Shirilla. Now, we released on this feed 2 episodes last week, a deep dive last Monday, going through the whole case, not only what Netflix, of course, left out, but like the entire case as a whole, body cam footage, interrogation footage, jail calls, back history of Mackenzie, all sorts of different things. And it was like this mega.
Shadow says, "Hark the herald angels sing. Glory to the newborn king." Chatty Cathy, thank you so much, Shadow says. "I'm worried about Shadow snacks." Well, Shadow's concerned as well, and he appreciates your concern. And he also appreciates even more the fact that you're helping him get his soy-free Hootie snacks and helping him stay away from clavicular and look-smaxing. You don't want that, because Shadow is very hormone conscious. So thank you very much, Chatty Cathy. We're very grateful for your support here, and everyone's support for that matter.
Mega deep dive. Then, of course, after watching The Crash on Netflix, I was like, there's even more that Netflix didn't bring into it. And look, it's not Netflix's fault, because a lot of the times what happens with these documentaries, and the only reason I know this is because, working behind the scenes a little bit, it's not Netflix who outright produces these and puts the storyboard together. It's usually third parties who then sell it to Netflix. So even though I know Netflix is catching strays on here, which they don't deserve, it's not really their fault, because they may not know how much was left out. But my point is, there were a lot of things left out, such as her time, doing sex work, which obviously doesn't necessarily matter and it's not important to the crash, but there was some friction between her and Dom already, because he discovered that and he was upset. And this leading up to the crash too, they were having arguments about it via text message. There are things left out about the parents trying to quiet down the friends so that they don't share information. There's a point in which the dad tells the sergeant, and it's right there in the police report in black and white, that Mackenzie did do this intentionally. And that was when she was getting super combative, trying to leave the hospital, so much so that they had to call the police into the hospital. I mean, a lot of things that I think illustrate a lot about her character as a person. Even if people came out of this coming, kind of on the fence of, could this have been an accident? Could this have been a medical emergency? Could this have been anything else? I think all of this will give you context and show you absolutely not. This is a spoiled, entitled little child who is fully enabled by her parents. And so in that second part 2 episode, I talked about not only her bad behavior, but the parents' bad behavior and the things that were left out. So now, I don't know, is the right expression dovetailing in? Is that what I'm doing? A segueing into this first case is I want to talk about these jail calls. You may have seen some of them floating around. We've talked about a couple of them in the past, but there are a few.
And we have gone over some of these. So let's see, though, if they're the same ones that we went over.
That really stand out to me that I want to share with you while everybody is, in this Mackenzie Shirilla black hole. Because there also have been some newly released calls. And some of the things being said in these calls have left not only myself completely shocked, but a lot of people completely shocked. Flabbergasted, if you will. Now, Here's the quick refresher in case you did not watch The Crash on Netflix and you are not familiar with the case. Mackenzie was convicted in 2023 of intentionally crashing her car at around 100 miles per hour. She crashed it into a brick building, and she killed not only her boyfriend Dom, but their friend Davion. Prosecutors argued that this was completely intentional, that it was possibly intended to be a murder. Maybe Dom was breaking up with her. Maybe they were arguing. She had driven recklessly like this in the past and had also threatened to crash the vehicle in the past. So ultimately, she was sentenced to 2 concurrent sentences of 15 years to life, meaning she will serve both of them side by side at the same time. Okay. Now, fast forward to these newly released jail calls. And one of the biggest things that people are reacting to is the way that Mackenzie talks about herself in all of this, how she continues to be the only one that matters and the only victim.
Is it on True Crime this week, Miss Amanda? Is that the one? It says 2 days ago. Who interviewed him? Was it True Crime this week or someone else?
In this situation. In one phone call with her mom, she starts talking about how she doesn't think that she even needs rehabilitation. She's already speaking about getting out of prison too, like it's a guarantee, not an if she gets released and gets parole someday, but when. And during that conversation, she also starts spiraling about how old she will be when she gets out, saying that she worries that she won't be able to have kids or a family anymore. Take a listen.
I like how they try to make it like enjoyable there. Like I don't want to enjoy life there, but like it's just sad. Like I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitative. See, that's how jail is supposed to rehabilitate people.
But I don't need to be rehabilitated. Like I don't need that. Like
I know you don't.
I feel like I want to live off the grid. Like, and I'm just thinking about like how I'm just gonna be like old when I get out of jail, and like I don't know, like I'm not gonna be able to have kids or like a family. Like,
what?
Like,
Stop that. Stop that.
no, because I'm gonna have to ask Danny if she can have like hold my baby for me and like eat healthy for me.
Kenzie, you're living away. Just stop, baby. Don't go there. I know it's hard not to. But just wait, okay?
So she literally says, I feel like I want to live off the grid. And then talks about how she's going to be old when she gets out of jail, saying that she's going to have to ask somebody else to carry her baby for her because she's going to be so old. Again, only prioritizing herself.
All about her. I want to see this now. So we're at 10 minutes of this. We went over a lot of this. I want to see what her dad says now. There he is.
Charged with their murder is the subject of a new Netflix documentary called The Crash. It does change.
So Shadow's very curious. We got to thank Miss Amanda for informing us about this. Thank you, Amanda.
Change the way I see the accident itself. So without saying more, here is the interview with Mackenzie Sharilla's father, Steve.
Steve, my first question is, what is it like to be a part of the biggest documentary on Netflix?
Wow, it's mixed. I was hoping during this process
Look at that. He's already flattered. Oh, the biggest documentary on Netflix? Really?
we get Mackenzie's story out, or what happened to Mackenzie, and not necessarily what everybody's heard or what everybody keeps gleaming off of misinformation. And I want to say I was promised that it would be fair, but that's what my illusion to what was going on. That I thought
Shadow is unfiltered on this segment here, by the way. Warning. And Shadow is not politically correct. So this is a Shadow uncensored segment.
I thought they came to us thinking that my daughter is a monster and that she did this and she's hell on wheels. And
Shadow says, we don't think Mackenzie's a monster. We know Mackenzie's a monster.
She picked that road and blah, 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 you know, what the judge said. But I think after they started talking to us, I think we opened their eyes to, well, maybe there's something funny going on here. And that's where I thought it was. And then when it came out, a lot of the stuff we talked about just wasn't there. You know, there wasn't a lot about the fact that there's no evidence of premeditation, prior calculation or intent. it's not there. And every troll online can tell me, oh yeah, she did it, all this, and she was speeding down that road and she didn't hit her brakes. Well, she didn't hit her brakes for 4.74 seconds of that ride. That's the only information they have. 4 points. That's when the black box turned on, about 5 or 6 seconds before she crossed Almeida Road and before it went into the building. Something happened in that car that caused that black box to turn on, which was, I think the car, from our car expert that we talked to, said that the car thought it was flipping over. So the black box turned on and started recording the car information in a non-linear sort of way. And that's important, that non-linear sort of way. And it deployed both side airbags. And I'm sorry, side airbags don't just go pillow fight. It's not
So Miss Amanda warns us all there's going to be some gaslighting and some manipulation in here and some flipping the script. So that's the warning.
It's not a soft explosion. It's a boom. And then there's powder all over there's powder floating in the car, in the cabin of the car.
Are you saying the airbags deployed before the accident?
Both side airbags deployed prior to her car crossing the street to hit the sign to get veered into the building.
That seems like a pretty big piece of information that we didn't get.
Yeah, I wonder why the prosecution didn't want to use it.
Yeah.
They had it.
Let's see what they said.
In the cabin of the car.
Are you saying the airbags deployed before the accident?
Both side airbags deployed prior to her car crossing the street to hit the sign to get veered into the building.
That seems like a pretty big piece of information that we didn't get.
Yeah, I wonder why the prosecution didn't want to use it.
Yeah.
They had it.
So what on earth would that have to do with it, though, either? Like they're saying the airbags went out and then she lost further control? Is that what he's trying to say here? I don't know about that one, Jack. How do they know exactly when they did?
They got the black box information. The black box is a nonlinear function. It's like an airplane black box, but it doesn't record sound and what's going on in the cabin. It records mechanical aspects of the car, braking, accelerating, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. So the only actual evidence, hard, knock on wood, evidence is from 4.74 seconds of that black box. Yeah. That's not talking what happened prior.
Yeah.
All the way to when she turned. That's another what?
So everything we.
So he's just trying to create plausible deniability here. He's trying to create a reasonable doubt because his end goal is to get Mackenzie out of jail, out of prison. That's it. He doesn't care about anything else. His only goal is to help Mackenzie get out. So everything he says is with that in mind. Remember that. And like I've always said, when it comes to narcissistic people, everything they do is about power, control, managing their image, narcissistic supply, and avoiding accountability. And everything he says here is going to fall under one of those 5 categories, guaranteed.
Saw in that video of her speeding at the
that last moment. Yeah. That's after the black box turned on
and after the airbags deployed.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be 3 kids in the car freaking out because
Sasquatch could have popped in the car. Anything.
So this guy isn't going to give him any pushback, is he? That's probably the prerequisite of his agreement to even come on the show. But again, I think he's rewriting history here. Like, where was it? He had a defense lawyer. Mackenzie had a defense lawyer. Why didn't the defense lawyer say some of this if it's so true? That's what I would say.
Anything.
It would be hard to drive.
Yeah, well, the car expert said, he said nobody anybody in that car would be disoriented because of the 2 explosions and the powder floating around. You wouldn't be able to see. So I can't explain the speed. Oh, sorry. I can't explain the speed, but that road is a cut through in Strongsville and the police know it.
Yeah.
Everybody uses it. I've been down that road at a pretty good clip at times. Not saying it's right. I'm not saying, okay, it's not at all.
It's a shortcut.
It's a shortcut for where she goes, and plus, Dom did not like going down Pearl Road. He liked
Why didn't he like going down Pearl Road?
He sold drugs, or at least my understanding is he sold marijuana at this time. And if he got pulled over and he had marijuana on him, he would go to jail.
There's lots of police.
And there's a lot of police, and they sit in the shops all the way up Pearl, and they don't really sit back in that Industrial Parkway. Like I said, it's a cut through. It's a quick cut through, and he always made her go down through that way. Even on her prom,
he made her. What's he trying to do here? He's trying to make it seem, oh, it's his fault that they went down there. Wasn't Mackenzie. Never mind the fact Mackenzie's driving. It's his fault they did it. Darvo. A little subtle Darvo there. Deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender.
Christine Russo and Dom made her go down that road. She's even, and I wish my cousin passed away a couple months ago, and he could have attested because he was in the car with us. But but my understanding is we go down that road all the time, and even in the bindover or the bindover discovery, there's a note in it that says we know it's a known cut through. So the police know it, and they even state it's a known cut through. So for the judge to go, you chose that road and blah blah blah, it doesn't make any sense, because the police, the detective, because he said it, knows it's a cut through. I mean, it's crazy.
But she still chose it though. They still chose it. Bottom line, they still chose it. She still chose it.
And they knew, and the drugs, and so Dom would have Mackenzie hold the drugs.
How do you know that? How do you know Dom was into that?
Because my daughter told me. Yeah. He told me that he sells marijuana, and friends buy it from him.
But, and this is the problem, you gonna trust your lying daughter that doesn't tell the truth about anything, probably? That's a mistake.
And I know a lot of, I know, it's just something that I know
There's a
after
lot
4
about
years.
his background that didn't come out in Netflix either. I know he has.
Well, I think they're.
He's been in trouble with the law before.
Yes, and that's the reason why he would have me carry mule for him, carry his drugs. Yeah. So if they got pulled over, she got in trouble for him, but it would be just a slap on the wrist, basically.
He had a prior charge for assault as well.
I heard something about that. I don't know the full story on it. I think it was some kind of family thing that went on, but I don't.
Any idea why that didn't come out in the Netflix stuff?
I don't know. I don't know why the Netflix people picked what they picked.
Yeah.
Why they edited it the way they edited. I'm not real happy with the way they edited some of the stuff, and some of the stuff they picked for me to say. I said what I said in that, and I meant every word that I said. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I was trying to be as honest as I could, but it seemed to be more about me and not about what was happening to my daughter. And so, I mean, like I said, I'm not real happy with how the outcome, but if it wins an Oscar, I guess I get an Oscar. I'm part of an Oscar. So,
there are a couple of questions that came up.
His whole tone here is just off, considering the situation, right? It's such a tone of deflection, avoiding accountability. My daughter's innocent. They're all guilty. They did her wrong. She's the victim. It's an icky tone. Is it not, Amanda?
Since the documentary came out, I think it could have been worse. I watched it over the weekend. But there were a couple questions that had come up. One was, can you tell us a little? I mean, it's such a stupid little thing. Your shirt. Can you?
Let me ask again. Is this okay? I don't want to trigger anybody in this world that I'm wearing an orange polo. I hope it's not colorblind enough for anybody. The shirt I was wearing.
A little passive-aggressive, antagonistic remark there. We see Shadow and I see all there. Steve Sharilas
is from Drip Drop, which is Crime Circus on YouTube. Crime Circus has been a defender for my daughter. He's made many posts saying she's innocent, and he shows the evidence, and he contradicts people who say,
Crime Circus. Shadow says, Jared, put him on your list. we'll put him on the list. Crime Circus. To go over that guy at a point. Shadow has a list, and he's checking it twice to see who's been narcissistic and who has not been. Who is defending and enabling people that have killed others. I already forget the name. Crime what?
I don't want to trigger anybody in this world that I'm wearing an orange polo. I hope it's not colorblind enough for anybody.
Crime Circus. That's what it was.
The shirt I was wearing is from Drip Drop, which is Crime Circus on YouTube. Crime Circus has been a defender for my daughter. He's made many posts saying she's innocent, and he shows the evidence, and he contradicts people who say, no, she's guilty, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, you have to look at this and this, you know. He was about a month after her trial. His one of his posts showed up with us. Someone sent it to us, and he had found 5 or 6 interviews from the Strongsville Police Department that were not in the discovery, or were not in the discovery that we could find. And we went over everything, and we had access to everything during the bind over in the trial. There were 5 interviews with Christine Russo, Dom's brother, 2 of Dom's kind of friends, the Flanagans, and Hench. I think it's Hench, because he gets things done. Christopher Martin, the felon that lives in Christine Russo's basement, and he's the one that gave the information or the intent to Mackenzie in her trial. He's the one that stated something that didn't happen, and we've got proof that Mackenzie did not threaten that crash that car that day.
God.
But the
guy's a literal clown. 422,000 subscribers. What the hell? I can't believe it. First question. Why didn't he hit the brake? What does he say? She was unconscious. That's his excuse. She was unconscious. Get the fuck out of here.
5 videos weren't in the discovery, and in all the videos, everyone is in there says that Mackenzie has a problem passing out or seizes. There was an issue, and they just blew over it. And at some point, during Christine Russo's or the brother's interview, because Christine and the brother were there, and every time the detective asked the brother something, he starts to answer, which seems to be truthful, and then Christine Russo talks over him and answers it for him, and he goes, oh yeah. So at some point, Christine Russo says, these aren't going to be, no one's going to see these, right? And the detective goes, no, I'm not putting them in.
Wow.
So again, that's omittance, and that seems kind of shady to me.
Well, if there were witnesses that could back up the claim that Kenzie occasionally passed out or had these seizures, that's pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think so. I would think the detective should, have a...
And then, as they said in court, as the judge said, if that's the thing, why on earth was she driving? Because if you have seizures like that, they take your license away, right? That's how serious it is. For this very reason, to prevent this. And granted, and when it happens when someone has a seizure, here's the thing, right? I commented this on Facebook the other day. People were saying, well, I've passed out before, and they've maintained speed, even maybe slightly accelerated a little bit, but pedal to the floor? You don't see that when someone's passing out. Like you don't see that. And to think of all the times you're going to have a seizure or pass out, just so happens to be at that time, at that place, in a way that you had threatened to do something before. Shadow and I do not believe in coincidence.
An obligation to look into it. But when he got her, my understanding is when he got her medical records, he picked up her medical records from the day of the crash forward. He did nothing about going from the day of the crash back. That's true or false.
Yeah.
But that's my understanding.
People try to make
sorry. The shirt. Yeah. The shirt is Crime Circus's logo, or one of his swag that he sells. The boom is one of his things. So I wore the shirt to say thank you for what he was doing for my daughter. And he's done a lot. And if I see him, I'm going to hug him. You know, that's the first thing I'm going to do. He's been a very good champion for what I feel is misjustice against my daughter. And
a very big champion for narcissistic supply, more than likely, to be the contrarian for attention, admiration, and acknowledgement. But even though, like I said, it might not even be positive attention, it can be negative attention. Positive attention, negative attention, it is still supply. And the algorithms and all the networks, they operate in the same manner. Doesn't matter. The algorithms don't care if you're getting positive attention or negative attention. They just want you to be getting attention. And so hate comments, as tempted as people are to make them, all they ever do is help the creator. You might think I'm going to show that creator, I'm going to give him a hate comment. All you've really done is boost him in the algorithm, or her.
The lack of evidence to support the charges, you know, so that's what that shirt was about. Not me being colorblind to two boys dying, because it's horrible. It was horrible. I don't. The day doesn't go by that I don't think about it, and that was one of the toughest things for me to do with this whole thing at the beginning. Was, how can I be happy that my daughter's alive and breathing? I mean, and the fact that these two boys died, and Dom was part of our family, and however anybody wants to spin it, he went everywhere with our family. He was at Easter, Christmas. He was part of our vacations. He was part of our family. You know, I'm sorry the Russos lost a son or a brother or a cousin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the Flanagans lost Davion. There's nothing I can say.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Of course not.
To ever change that. I was at the gravesite with Christine and countless days. I talked to the dad. You know, the dad was in my house, telling Mackenzie he believes her, and blah blah. They thought it was an accident. It's okay, and they did this little pendulum thing, and then after the bind over, it stopped. You know, I don't get it. You know, none of the evidence changed. And the black box information was the black box information.
Prosecutors gave them a place to focus their anger.
Well, their story. It was his narrative, and even in one of those drip drop or one of those release videos, the detective saying, "Well, I'm just doing what Troop wants, what Tim wants." You know, I'm just, you know. So we believe this detective on day 3 or 4 already assumed the worst. You know, and so that's what sorry to go back to it. That's what the shirt was. The shirt was a thank you to Crime Circus. Wasn't a me being colorblind or insensitive to anybody, because that's the most idiotic. Because, oh my God, why would I do that? That's got to be the dumbest take on a shirt, you know. And again, everyone, it's orange. I'm sorry if it's offensive. I apologize now.
I just assumed.
That was not really a genuine apology, by the way. Like I said, the only thing that makes me suspicious of the case is the fact that narcissistic people, like, generally they would want to self-preserve a little bit, but at the same point, when the need for vengeance is high enough, the need for control, they wouldn't be against sacrificing themselves either, depending on the case, I would say.
It's a graphic T-shirt. And I know you come from an art background, graphic design.
Yep, graphic design. Yep.
And then you were teaching art.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now, what's happened since the documentary came out?
Well, apparently, the diocese had a problem with something I said in there, along with.
Did people contact?
Yes, that's my understanding. There was a website out of Parma, Parma something, and I guess they just called in and made all kind of stupid, baseless accusations, and then the diocese has an obligation to protect the kids, which I understand. But the problem I have with the diocese doing how they did it is they didn't talk to me. They just acted. When I just, here it is, boom.
So you were teaching for like a Catholic school.
Catholic school, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy's a Catholic school teacher too. Oh my Lord. And again, he just said the problem. He's why did they just act? Well, it's like, well, guess what, dude? Sometimes people should act when they see things that are not right. and you have to enforce some consequences like they did to you.
They're saying that because of the drugs or something.
It's something. I mean, in the documentary, we were talking about her.
Didn't have a problem with her.
I didn't. As you know, as a parent, I pick my battles. You know, I'm sorry if I find marijuana not that dangerous as I find alcohol or cocaine or whatever. You know,
or warm milk.
My daughter, beyond what everybody else seems to think or wants to interpret or glean, she seemed mature enough to handle it. I didn't see a issue. It wasn't causing her to be late for this or not do this or get in an accident. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't anything that was, and I had other battles I wanted to fight with her, and I taught her right along. I said, look, you can't be driving with it, blah, blah, blah. Watch with, you can't, be careful with Dominic, if you get caught, he gets caught, you get caught. All I can do is teach her and try to make her learn. She's a lot like me. When I was little, I needed to do it, experience it to learn it, and don't touch the stove. Steve, don't touch the stove. And I go touch the stove and it got burned. It's who she is. She has to learn for herself and make her own choices.
I was gonna say, this guy's got the vibe of like a 40-something-year-old boy, like a late 40s boy. You see that energy, right? Like some people, how they carry themselves. That's how this guy carries himself, as a late 40-something-year-old boy.
And that's what I was doing. And she was getting older, and her and Dom were making a life together. Now, was I greatly happy with the relationship? No. This toxic has been thrown around a lot. I didn't see the toxic relationship that everybody's saying, oh, it's toxic. This is a toxic relationship. And they argued. I argue with my wife. Everybody argues. Okay.
Garbage. You must not have read the text messages between your daughter and Dom's mother then. You didn't read anything. Those text messages go beyond just the basic arguing. There's threats, people putting their hands on one another. I think Mackenzie lying. Like those very same things we just went over in the Law and Crime Network video. It's like, you mean to tell me you didn't see that? And if he doesn't recognize that as toxicity, he just thinks it's arguing. That goes to show you how lack of calibrated he is in terms of this kind of stuff.
From what I knew, it wasn't toxic. They argued, they broke up. He's over the next day with flowers and candy and a stuffed animal. I mean, it was like every couple of months something would happen, and my wife was helping them try to fix.
It's just every couple of months that my daughter threatens to key his car, and she bangs on his door like the big bad wolf. I'm going to huff and I'm going to puff and I'm going to blow your house down unless you open the door. And then I go key your car. And it's just a fun little relationship, where my daughter threatens to, if Dom doesn't write her a handwritten apology, that she's going to go get a sugar daddy and sell feet pics. And then Dom says, that's not all you were doing. You're letting that dude F your feet. No big deal. Who cares? She was only 17 when that happens. After all, Mackenzie said Dom thinks about it more than she does, by the way. Like, oh my Lord.
The relationship. And they were never, ever breaking up. And anybody who says that is lying. And I don't care if it's hurtful. They were not breaking up. They may break up, but they were getting right back together. I was on my daughter all the time.
This guy's so out of his gourd. Like, you can't tell me you didn't read those messages. And say, did Mackenzie seem like she cared that much? 5 minutes to write me a handwritten apology, or I'm going to go do this. Oh, we were broken up. Doesn't really matter. It's like, did she really care? No. Those are not the actions of someone that really cares. It's not the action of someone that has a fear of abandonment or a fear of engulfment either, really, for that matter. It's like, it's just the actions of someone that wants what they want and they don't really care.
I punished her all the time. Okay. It's not me going, okay, just go, hey, go have a whole time, go smoke dope, have fun, woo, drive your car really fast.
I mean, that's what it looks like on the documentary. It looks like a teenage.
How about that? Sweet Caroline singing it. Like their favorite documentary, Mackenzie's favorite song would have been My Way by Frank Sinatra. Sweet Caroline says, me, 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 me. We can sing like Troy McClure in the Planet of the Apes and The Simpsons. He can talk, he can talk, he can talk. And Troy McClure says, I can sing. Let's see. Thank you very much for that, Sweet Caroline. Shout out to those who know that reference, though, from The Simpsons. Troy McClure with Dr. Sayus, Dr. Sayus.
Girl who has no supervision, who smokes weed all the time, who makes her own rules and lives with her boyfriend. How much of that is true? How much?
She stayed with her boyfriend. It was they were talking about moving in, and she was getting close to 18. And if I would have hammered her and locked her into her room, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Chain her to the bed? I mean, that's okay. All I can do is teach her how to survive and live, and she knew if there's a problem, who to call. She talked to my wife all the time. If these two kids were going to break up and there was a problem, my wife would already know. We would have known it. Okay. I would have been very happy about it if they broke up. Okay. No boy would ever be good enough for my daughter. That's a father, but again, he did treat her very well. I didn't see much of the fight. I didn't see the stupid little fights or the arguments I didn't see it.
One other thing that came.
Imagine what Dominic's mother would be thinking about this as she's hearing this. It's like, dude, did you not see the messages between me and your daughter? Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
I've been trying to catch up on social media about what people are saying about this. There's one other weird thing that came up that I was hoping that you could explain a little bit. I guess at one point, Kenzie and her mother are caught on tape talking in like what people are calling a different language, or like Carney speak.
It's Carney. It's Gypsy speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something they would do?
It's a family thing. It's a family thing that my wife grew up with.
Can you speak it?
No,
Okay.
it's because they do it so fast. It's
I know how it works now.
to say
You add an extra syllable in with
the is these. I think I'm going to say that right. It's like a pig Latin. You're adding vowels, or you're splitting the word with, and it's something that families, my wife's family has done for years. It's nothing. It's like when the gypsies and the carnivals would come around, and they didn't want the locals to hear what they were saying. That's what they would speak.
Yeah.
So my daughter and wife talk that way, and when they don't want to have someone hear what they're talking about, that's what they talk about. It's like having a German person or Japanese out here in America start talking Japanese because they don't, it's a private thing,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the speech. It's called Carney.
How old was Kenzie when she learned how to do
She was pretty young. I've never heard anyone say it. And mind you, I'm sorry, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because it's a good memory for me. Sure. My wife and my daughters, it's like bees, and during this process, we knew when my daughter was in the juvenile center or over in county, she didn't want people around hearing what we were talking about because there's big ears everywhere, and then someone's going to say something, and we didn't want to give away what we were possibly doing in court or how we were going to try to defend her. So we were trying to be careful what anybody else overheard or who was overhearing her, or I say we, but they were. It's a language they speak together. It's like twins speaking a weird language. It was not to hide anything nefarious. There's big talk about something she said in the hospital, and if you know the language, she didn't say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing.
Yeah, I think they're trying to say
she was saying, I was seizing her, and that didn't happen. There's no Sizu, there's no word in that whole conversation about that. Plus my daughter was just that was the day.
So denying the fact of what the prosecution said, they said, can I say I had a seizure? That's what the prosecution said. He's basically denying that here.
Either that was the day of or the day after, and she was on all kind of pain medication. She broke her femur. She broke her fibula. I think it's the fibula, right? Yeah. She broke the fibula, detached tricep, 3 broken ribs, a puncture wound through her knee. So
Mrs. Nanda says that he's not lying here. So you're saying the prosecutor got it wrong? That's what you're saying? You see, now I don't like that, Miss Amanda, then, because that means the prosecution's been caught in a lie. Is that what you're saying? Thank you very much for this, sweet Caroline. Carney 4, I drove the car into the wall intentionally. Blah, blah, blah. I think I would agree. But I'm a little concerned about what Miss Amanda just said, actually. Shadow's a little concerned about it too. Because if the prosecution's going to lie, it makes me wonder, were they lying? Did they know they were lying? Because if they're lying, that makes me wonder, I can't trust them anymore. Very disappointing to hear that, Miss Amanda. Very disappointing.
Lacerated liver, lacerated kidney, bumps and bruises all over her face. Both her carotid arteries were damaged. I mean, the kid's lucky to be alive. So she was on, she didn't really know what she was saying. She had just found out.
Now, how do they know that? Like, who's deciphering that language so that it's definitely not true? Like, who deciphered that language?
What happened with Dom and Davion, because we didn't tell her at first. She was in so much pain, and we just didn't want to add to that. So
it strikes me too as like every time I think about this, it's a really stupid way to commit suicide if that's what you're intending.
God, my God, she was not committing suicide. There's absolutely no base. No evidence, no manifesto, no note, no video, nothing. There's not one iota of evidence.
What do you think happened?
God,
But Miss Amanda, how do they know that wasn't what that was said? Who deciphered it, and how do they know that wasn't what was said?
Okay, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I know the car crashed. I know Davion and Dominic lost their lives. I know my daughter was lucky to be alive. I know she went through I believe she was falsely accused. The charges she was accused of, I'm not completely getting away. She's not completely innocent. She was driving a car, and it should have never left the juvenile court, and it should have been vehicular homicide or reckless vehicular homicide. And I don't think you could even prove reckless with what evidence is not available to the prosecutor. But I don't know. I think it was. I would, if I had to give my guess, I think it's a bunch of things. I think it's a perfect storm. I'm pretty good. She was probably coming down there 60, 70 miles an hour. Okay. One theory is something happened to the car. Toyota has a history with that kind of car. It's documented. It's on the internet.
But she did also definitely say, "Can I just get 10 years loss of license?" Is that what you would say if you knew you were innocent? Can I just get 10 years loss of license? I don't know. I don't like it though.
I don't know. I don't know how would ever prove it. The black box isn't on. It's not recording any of that because the black box turned on down the road. If something happened to the car and the gas pedal stuck and accelerated, all would be in that car is panic. And then if that car came around that little bend, and it's not a severe bend, it's a manageable bend, and it hit that dip that used to be in the road that the city fixed last year or last summer, that car went flying, and that's what turned on. That's what the black box said. The car went right to left. The car thought it was flipping over. The black box turned on. The side airbags went off. Yeah. I mean,
So here's the thing. As I was reading Matt Murphy's The Book of Murder, one thing he stressed in the case was like he would not lie, and he would only prosecute someone that he knew that he would get a prosecution on, like he would be able to get a conviction. And to live up to those principles was very important to him, which is why Matt Murphy never lost the case. He never lost the homicide case. I shouldn't say he lost a couple of misdemeanor cases in the beginning of his career, but he never lost a homicide case. That's one of the reasons he didn't. So just to hear this, if the prosecution said that and it's not true, that makes me mad, actually. Because you don't want to be creating falsehoods when you don't need to be. So it's kind of annoying that is out there now.
And again, the black box is nonlinear. It's not a linear recording. It doesn't go on, it's not a constant. Like every Yeah, in a nonlinear thing, it's going half second, half second, half second, half second, or microsecond, whatever the timing is. And our car guy said, you can't necessarily say she'd never braked, because it could have happened in between. And mind you, I'm not saying that because there's no proof to that. Why would I? But it could have happened.
Everybody else is saying automatic where there's no proof.
Yeah, well, sorry. Yeah, and especially the prosecutor, and there's more to that if we can get to it eventually. But at the end of that video, the brake lights go on, and their car expert said, "Well, that's a safety feature."
Yeah.
Well, why didn't the brakes go on?
Aren't brakes a safety feature by design?
I think so, but what I'm saying is, the brake, you could see the brakes clearly.
So here's the thing. So even if the prosecution lied about that, or I don't know if they got their facts wrong about that or what, but whatever it is, it's disappointing. Doesn't mean she didn't do it intentionally, but it's still disappointing that they'd be willing to go ahead and say something. Like, it seems like a lazy route, right? They're like, oh, we can try to say she said this in the gibberish language to make it easier on ourselves. That's disappointing, because that speaks to a lack of integrity, or did they not do their due diligence about it? And granted, Mackenzie's certainly no beacon of integrity, that's for sure. But that's where justice is supposed to be better than that. That's what it's supposed to be. And that's what a prosecution really wants, too. Prosecution isn't supposed to be getting convictions. Their goal should be justice. That's the ultimate goal.
On the video.
On the video, you clearly see him. And his response, well, that's a safety feature. Well, why did the safety feature work prior?
Yeah.
It hadn't hit anything. It just went across the road. That was right as it went across the road. So why is the safety feature only working right there? So
why do you think they went so hard against her?
Man, well, there's the part where maybe I'll get myself in trouble. I think there's some collusion going on. I think it's a fix. I think it's a favor. That last name Russo in this town.
It's like, I was trying to explain that to somebody. Having the last name Russo in Cuyahoga County is like having the last name Kennedy in Boston.
Mm-hmm. There might be some truth to that. Like I said, this is a political family, and I apologize to the Flanagan family right now. If it was just Davion in the car, she wouldn't be in jail. She would have.
I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous thing to say. I mean, she's basically just saying, oh, see, it's only because of the Russo's influence in the town that she's even in jail to begin with. It's like, and this is Ohio, right? I don't know about that one, Jack. I mean, like, seriously, though, blacked out, is your foot going to be all the way on the ground, blacked out? Pedal to the floor. Very rare. I can say, like, if you're driving drunk and you're blacked out, like, you can probably stay at the current speed you are, if not slow down a little bit or speed up a little bit. But pedal all the way to the ground? I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. And that's why he said, too, he couldn't even defend the speed. So it's like, and again, if she's blacked out, what are Dominic and Davion doing? Don't you think they would have been able to, like, pull her aside or something? Like, get her foot off the pedal or take control of the wheel or something? Right? Like, this doesn't make sense if she was truly blacked out.
It would have never left the juvenile court. This has to do with the boy's last name, and the judge saying, "Well, I don't have a blood relationship." Look, I'm not saying she has got a blood relationship. I'm saying she has a relation.
Thank you so much, sweet Caroline. This man is making my blood boil. Where's the Carney translator and the mechanic? And wearing that shirt is supporting the show that is supporting his daughter. Yeah. I don't like him one bit either, sweet Caroline, nor does Shadow. But I still think, sweet Caroline, as the shepherds of as the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect and the Shepherd of Black Sheep, we have to have better integrity than the prosecutor in the case. even if she didn't say something about the seizure, she can still be guilty. So let's remember that. And again, there's other things that point to guilt just as much, such as, oh, can I just lose my license for 10 years and the threatening to do it? Like those kinds of things, I would say. But yes, definitely still disappointing. But thank you again, Sweet Caroline, and thank you to the rest of the flock of black sheep too. While you're here, make sure you like the video, of course, because likes are free. Spank that like button. Leave your DNA of choice on the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Say hello to Black Sheep Nation here. And remember, I go live almost every night to talk about true crime and current events between 10 and 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Usually we talk about true crime, current events, and psychology. And thank you very much for all of the support I've gotten so far.
Relationships with the Russo family, and her even saying that in court, just if you're going to believe doesn't have a relationship, you're fooling yourself. I'm not saying it's directly with Christine Russo down the road here, but it's with somebody, and
there are many Russos
yes,
in judicial
positions.
In
fact, it was
and the prosecutor's office.
Yep, and Christine Russo was part of that prosecutor's office at one point, and I believe she's friends with Tim Troop. I think they were in the office together.
Well, let me
jump cut. Did you notice the jump cut? Shadow and I noticed the jump cut. Ready? We'll let her play again in a second. But basically what he's doing is basically trying to say justice wasn't served. She only got convicted because of who the family was, Dominic's family. And basically we got screwed because of that. So they were manipulating the system. That's what he's saying. He's saying the system was rigged. Justice wasn't served. Mackenzie's actually a victim here. That's what he's saying, which is obnoxious.
That doesn't have a relationship you're fooling yourself. I'm not saying it's directly with Christine Russo down the road here, but it's with somebody, and
there are many Russos.
Yeah.
So ready for the jump cut?
In judicial
positions. In fact, it was
in the prosecutor's office.
Yep, and Christine Russo was part of that prosecutor's office at one point, and I believe she's friends with Tim Troop. I think they were in the office together.
Well, let me
jump cut. Did you see it? I wonder what he said.
Jump ahead a little bit.
Okay.
How is what was Kenzie's take on the
Thank you so much, Sweet Caroline. Hit the like button. Like it's Mackenzie in her father's face. Sorry, but I feel so angry with this man. As you should, Sweet Caroline, because this guy's out of control. He's a 40-something-year-old boy defending, excusing. It's like the time for all of this was the trial. The time for this was the trial. Why didn't the defense do a better job then? Like what's going on here? Why did the defense do a bench trial, not a jury trial? Like, what the hell is this? Like, ridiculous. I mean, why didn't you defend your daughter in court then, Steve, if you know all the answers? If you would have done so much better than you're the lawyer? Ugh. But yes, thank you so much for that, Sweet Caroline. Again, we always appreciate your support. He's making us mad too. As I know he's making the rest of the flock of black sheep angry as well. It's just angry to see narcissistic people squirm and avoid accountability like this. I call it being slippery. He's being slippery right now. And it's just icky. It gives you the ick, right? That's what this is. It gives you the ick. I can't stand it.
Documentary. How's she doing after this has come out?
She's okay. I thought she was okay with it. She's in Marysville. Okay. She wasn't so okay with the fact that they used when she turned to the lawyer. Her lawyer was there with her when she did this, and she turned to him and wanted to make sure she said what she wanted to say and that she didn't sound like she's just talking gibberish. So she turned to him and they ran with that and let it go. And it just makes her seem like it was planned, performant, and it wasn't. I thought she did well on it. She was beautiful, and I think she was very composed. You can see that she's got a couple years maturity to her now.
Yeah, I did notice that.
It's a rehabilitation. Marysville's more of a rehabilitation.
Shadow just threw up in his mouth when he heard him say, Mackenzie's got a little bit of maturity to her now. And then the interviewer is nodding along in agreement. Oh yeah, I see that too. And Shadow's like, huh? Helen Keller could see that that's not true. Helen Keller can see that the maturity level is at the same place it was 2 years ago, if not worse, because she's now getting fed more narcissistic supply. Shadow and I fully acknowledge we are slightly contributing to that. Yes, this is true, which is kind of a problem, but unfortunately, this is our job now to do. But the higher order principle is to call out the BS. So that's what Shadow and I hang our hats on. But we just threw up in our mouth. I'll let you hear it again. That was icky. Oh. Brace yourself. Trigger warning. This is nauseating.
I'm not saying it's directly with Christine Russo down the road here, but it's with somebody, and
There are many
beautiful, and I think she was very composed. You can see that she's got a couple years maturity to her now.
Yeah, I did notice that.
I did notice that.
It's a rehabilitation. Marysville's more of a rehabilitation than it is maximum security. You lock the cells, or the prisons you see on TV or in a movie.
Are they able to go outside?
She goes outside. She's got a lot of freedom. Other than being a Joe, she's got some freedom. She's got a day and she does stuff. They go outside. She's starting to take classes, college classes. She works in the kitchen. She's got jobs.
What would she, if this hadn't have happened, what would she be doing today?
She was looking at modeling and fashion and stuff like that. And we were with the barber. She was with the barber, and there was a big stink about that.
Yeah.
There was something she was going to something, or something was planned, and it was just them talk. It wasn't us going, "Hey, we're going to do." It wasn't that. God, things are blown so far out of proportion sometimes. It was just something she was involved with prior and during the accident, or during this, during her rehabilitation or whatever. So it's not a colorblind thing. It had nothing to do with remorse. It was about something she was doing already. There was plans, or there was plans, and they were just talking about it. That's all. It wasn't anything nefarious against the boys, or, oh my God, look, she's trying to be a model after all. But she was trying to be a model prior. It was just it was the continuation of what she had already started. So,
is there anything else you'd like to clear up that you think?
I can clear every little misconception out, and there'll still be the people on the internet making their own assumptions. I don't know how many podcasts I've watched that have all their information, anything, they had the gist of the story. There's a crash, 2 boys died.
Hi, Steve. Hi. Shadow would I say hello?
Mackenzie, okay, but all their facts are wrong. I hear, well, she was doing this and she was doing that. I mean, there's just, unless you really delve into it and look at the transcripts and look, and you're not going to, you can't see. I don't know how people can get on and actually say, well, she did this, and she didn't. She didn't plan it. That morning, the boys woke her up. There was no fighting the whole time they were there. Even the boy whose house he was at, even said so much. They weren't fighting. Rosie and Bubba both said they weren't fighting. There was no fighting. It wasn't okay. My understanding is Mackenzie had her head on Dom's lap almost all night for when she was sleeping. Okay. The boys got her up. They got in the car. My understanding is there's a grocer, or was a.
The one thing I don't know yet, because I haven't seen enough of the dynamic, but who's in charge? Who's wearing the pants between Steve here and Natalie, Mackenzie's mother? I don't know. I can't make up my mind, because he's Steve's narcissistic enabler, but he's also weak. So that makes me wonder who's in charge there. Like, is it her? Is the mother Natalie? I don't know. Maybe. But I don't know enough to know. I'm not sure.
An organic good food, kind of, local honey, good stuff, for you. And my daughter and Dom were eating healthy. So they have lockers outside. So if you buy, say, potatoes, she'll put the potatoes in the locker, give you the number, and then you can come by at any time and pick it up. It was a convenience for the customer. So it makes, now, I don't know if they were going there again for sure, because I don't know. But that would be on the route. That would be the quickest way to, and they had planned on making dinner that night or going to dinner or doing something. They were planning her birthday. They were not breaking up. For anyone to say they were breaking up, it is a lie. It is, there's no base, it's a baseless narrative from the prosecution. It's an absolute.
It's not baseless at all. When you look at all those text messages where they were threatening to break up with one another, it's not baseless at all. When you see the messages of Mackenzie threatening to go get a sugar daddy and sell feet pics. And remember, Shadow says, Jared, remember the dynamic with Mackenzie and her dad, where Mackenzie's asking her dad to give her rubber feet, and then Mackenzie's got a thing for selling feet pics and worse and more? Made Shadow and I wonder there. I wonder if there's something kind of creepy going on with Mackenzie and her feet. Makes me wonder. And it makes you wonder, as Robert Plant would say.
Lie. And they were never going to break up, to my dismay, mind you. I would, every time they did break up, I was happy. I was like, oh, please, 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 please. Mind you, again, Dom was a gentleman over here, he was very respectful. He was respectful at any place we went. Okay, so I mean, I don't, but again, I knew
Nobody's good enough.
He didn't have a job. He didn't have a job. He had hundreds of dollars on him at all time. We went to dinner and he pulls out. He fanned out, more money.
You ask him, like, where'd you get that?
I knew. I know what he was doing. It must have been good. I mean, he's got the whole high school and right next to him. Again, I'm not saying that to slander Dominic. It is. It's just what it is. I don't know. Like I said, that the lack of evidence and the lack of evidence that supports the judge's summation. There is none. They threw in at the last minute the cell tower pinged and you were there, so you were checking it out. Right. That's a leap. You're in the city. You're in Strongsville, and a cell tower in Strongsville, in an area that you're down all the time, picks up your phone, and how do you leap from? Okay, you're casing this spot out. That's from a judge. That's from a sitting judge of how many years? What, 15, 20 years or something like that? Yeah. She's been on the bench a long time, and that came out of her mouth. You case this place out. There's absolutely no. Now, if they had a picture of her doing it, and she's over there looking, and in one of her posts, she goes, "I was checking out the crash site today." Sure. Look, if you can prove to me she did it with intent, then she's right where she belongs.
That's where it comes down for me is proving the intent. And it seems to me that the only way anybody could possibly do that in a situation is to get inside her mind, which we can never do. We can never know. Which is why I think if it had gone to a jury of 12 people,
she would
of those people,
she would have never got convicted. She'd be free today. She'd be going on with her life. But she'd be free. That's the truth. But to let you know that her lawyer, when asked her about a jury or bench, she asked for a jury and he talked her out of it.
What's the benefit of a bench trial over?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah. You're gonna have to ask Jim McDonald. I mean, he clearly knows the law better than me. Yeah. I told her to get a jury trial. You're not going to get 12 people that are going to go along with this.
What's her best chance of getting out at this point?
We're at the state level. We knew the Cuyahoga County was going to be. She was not going to get any relief from. That's just how Cuyahoga County is, when we've talked about that a little bit.
You kind of have to be from Cuyahoga County to
understand. So we knew Cuyahoga County was going to railroad us, or what do you call roadblock us at every pass, and they did. You know, them changing the coroner's report from accidental to homicide was done illegally. They needed to go through a court hearing to have it done, and they didn't. The appellate court called them on it, and all they did was smack their hand. If this had been any other trial, they'd be back at trial. That'd be a mistrial, or that would be a reason to go back to trial. But not in Cuyahoga County, because you know Nancy Margaret Russo is blah blah blah.
Good name.
We're still fighting the late.
Oh yeah, you were a day late.
A day late. My lawyer, or we had a public defender at first, and we talked to him for like a minute, and he ordered the transcripts from the trial, because that's what you need, and the transcripts from the bind over. There's two different trials. One's at the juvenile level, one's the trial.
Yeah.
Well, when the new lawyers, Eric Nemechek, got a hold of it, all he had was the trial. So he put in for the bind over stuff, and the bind over stuff came a month later. So he thought he had a little more time.
Yeah.
And it was a leap year. It's almost like again another perfect storm. But
and who was the person to rule that it was a day late?
Well, when they put the brief into, because it goes back to Nancy.
Yeah. Right. That's what I thought it was.
Isn't that crazy? It goes back to the judge who's already biased.
Yeah.
Okay. She's already biased. She's biased herself. And if anyone can't see that,
she doesn't want to overrule herself.
She's not going to overrule herself. I mean, that ego must, I don't know how she walks in and out of the room with that kind of an ego, you know? It's unfortunate that a sitting judge of that long ruled that way and acted that way. Maybe it makes sense why she didn't get reelected, or on the new seat she wanted, you know, maybe it makes sense why the Democratic Party didn't endorse her. You know, we've heard that there's some investigation going on about her. You know, who knows? You know, but a sitting judge that long on the bench can't decipher between fact and speculation.
Yeah.
She's either incompetent, dirty, or both. Sorry, but
so he calls the judge incompetent, dirty, or both. Smearing the judge. Smear campaign.
The things I really want to touch on, the prosecutor. Let's talk about Tim Troop. Tim Troop in the documentary, you hear him. He's on camera saying, "Well, we looked at everything. We turned everything over, and we looked at everything. So it's this."
Yeah.
What do you mean you looked at everything? What exactly did you look at? How do you go from, well, we looked at all this, so if it was none of this, it has to be this?
Yeah.
That's a jump. That's a, well,
I have an expert there saying that the slipper might not have caused the accelerator to stick, but that's one guy's opinion.
That slipper. I didn't even talk about the slipper.
If I see that in an accident scene where you've got the black box data showing that the accelerator was pushed
all the way to the floor,
and then there's a slipper stuck, like, I mean,
yeah. Well,
come on.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably, what do you call it? Without a shadow of a doubt, it's a doubt. It's a plausible, realistic doubt that judge should have taken into consideration. Then again, our lawyer should have done, her lawyer, and I'm going to call my lawyer. I would never have that guy as my lawyer. Yeah, that's hindsight, by the way. But if he would have fought for her and brought some of this stuff up, I mean, now in his defense.
It's the only good point he's made the whole time, really. Well, besides about the conveying about the seizure thing. But yeah, the lawyer didn't seem very good. I'll agree with him on that.
So I'll go this way. He saw that there was nothing. They didn't have anything. And I think maybe that's what he's doing, because it's the burden of proof is on the prosecution. So he doesn't really have to say anything. You have to prove it. And I don't think, and I don't believe, and if you listen to that prosecutor did not prove intent. But Tim Troop in the documentary says, I looked at everything and I couldn't figure it out. So it has to be this. It's almost like the wife dies in an accident in the house and they look at everything, but it's the husband. It's a jump. It's a lazy jump.
It is a lazy.
In the detective, I don't know how that guy has his job. I don't know how he became a detective. That's my opinion.
More smear. By the time this thing's done, everyone's going to be smeared.
This is a lazy dude. He was in the bind over. He was on the stand, and the only time Mackenzie's lawyer was doing anything for her was when he was cross-examining him. And at some point, he goes to the detective and goes, "What do you think happened?" And he stammers, "I don't know." And I wasn't in there because I was supposed to be a witness. Me and Jim argued back and forth because I didn't like how Jim was talking and saying and doing stuff. So he kept me out of the room, so I didn't upset the cart, I guess. But if I'd have been in there, I would have shouted. Our lawyer should have turned to the judge, who's an O'Malley, who I think is a sister or a brother or a cousin to Mike O'Malley, and should have turned to that judge and said, "Motion to dismiss." How does the guy who's finding all this evidence, all this massive evidence, not speculation, evidence, not I think she did it. Oh, we believe she did it. Oh, I feel she did it. It's evidence. I don't know why he didn't turn to that judge and go, how does this guy who knows all this, who's the keeper of all the evidence, not know? So if this guy doesn't know,
That guy has doubt.
if this guy, the guy who's looking at it, doesn't know, if he doesn't know, how do you even charge somebody with any kind of thing? You don't know. You're guessing. You're making a guess. You watched CSI last night, and you're making a call off of watching CSI a couple episodes.
Yeah.
This guy's he's a dangerous. This is a dangerous detective out of Strongsville. He's dangerous. Anybody, you get pulled over now in Strongsville speeding, it's attempted murder. That's the precedent they've set with this case.
How long do you think she'll be in jail?
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you preparing for a long haul? Are you very hopeful?
I'm hopeful somebody with some common sense and can look at everything. I mean, not the minutia, not the screaming people online, but look at the evidence. This, A, B, C, D, whatever, and look and subjectively look at what was presented, and look and say, look, okay, you got some black box information. The car was going fast. You can't explain the car. You can't explain the speed. The video clearly shows the brakes going on, no matter what the expert says. It's funny that it broke there and it didn't break there, or there. So if that's a safety feature for a car, I've been 100 in a car. I don't remember my car braking for me when I was going over 100. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it is. So I don't get it. And she didn't drive directly into that building. She drove mind you, it's apples to oranges here. She hit that sign first, and that sign veered her into that building. What would happen if she kept going straight? I don't know. They'd be all dead. Who knows? I don't know. I know my daughter didn't do it on purpose. I know when my daughter lies. That was part of the documentary too. I gave a story where something happened at the school and blah, blah, blah. But I know when my daughter lies. It's my daughter.
Well, I don't think you call her out though when she lies. That's the problem. And I somehow doubt you do know when she really lies.
There's a twinkle in her eye. There's something I can tell when she's not being honest with me. She doesn't look at me. It's not it's my daughter, and if that makes me a bad parent, I'm not a bad parent. I did my best with my daughters. I try to teach them rather than punish them. This world's crazy, and
again, so that's the code word for actually, I just enabled them. I didn't want to punish them, so I just wanted to teach them. But I don't think they got the lesson, sir. I don't think they got the lesson.
There's some crazy stuff that goes on. There's some crazy people in this world. So I was doing my best to teach her, and I picked my battles that I felt happened. How was I ever going to stop her from smoking marijuana? My daughter should have been charged with vehicular homicide, 2 counts in juvie court, and it should have never left. The juvenile judge took out the aggravated murder thing for the same reason I'm saying they should have never charged her because there's no intent, there's no prior calculation, there's no purpose. It's not there. And again, Tim Troop can get up there and and dum dum dum, Tim Troop, she did this and I feel this. It's not evidence. He can feel all he wants. It's not evidence. And I think he did it's a complete injustice to my daughter, and not This has nothing to do with the boys. It's, again, tragic that those boys died. And she has some responsibility into it. But what that is, nobody is ever going to know. And because nobody was in that car, and there's no evidence, and there's no story, there's no paper, there's no note, there's no video. My daughter and the remorse, that's another thing that's huge. I sat with my daughter for 3 months in that room right there. 3 months. Watching her watch every video, every song, every picture about that boy. There was a shrine to him in that room. Shrine. Cried herself to sleep every night. I know the trolls are going, good, she should cry herself to sleep. Ugh. She has remorse. Yeah. She was upset. If you would have heard her when she found out that Dom died, if you would have heard the sound that came out of her.
Sure doesn't sound like it. When you hear those phone calls and you hear the other messages, it just seems more about her. When she's talking to Dom's mom, more concerned about how people are seeing her than the fact that Dom is dead. Those text messages that Law and Crime Network just played versus and all those other messages that we went over already that Law and Crime Network played, very damning. Very damning.
It would have crushed you. She was 17. She's a dumb kid. She wasn't breaking up. She didn't do it on purpose. And I've asked her, did you do this on purpose? And she's going, no. And I would think if my daughter was that mad at that boy to want to kill him that way, Davion would have never been in the car.
Right.
That makes no sense. If she was going to do that to Dom, there were guns all over that kid's house. Okay.
Where'd the guns come from?
He bought them. I don't know. The reason I know he has guns because something was going on over there, and he took all the guns and threw them in my daughter's trunk. And I went into my daughter's trunk to get something, and in the trunk there was 10, 15 guns. Half of them were loaded. I had to.
Oh my God.
So that's how I know he has guns. If she was going to kill him, that would make more sense to me. But
and you don't involve an innocent.
Mm-hmm. So that makes no sense there. Something happened in that car. No one's ever going to know. She's innocent of the charges they put upon her. Again, should have been juvenile, vehicular homicide, 2 counts, and we would have went from there. She probably would have done some jail time.
Right. Probably be out by now.
Be out by now, or have been whatever.
How do you keep in contact her?
We can see her twice a month. We visit. It's about a 3 or 3.5 hour visit. But again, it's only twice. My wife is able to talk to her pretty much every day. Again, sorry to the people out there. It's our daughter. I love my daughter. I'm never going to stop fighting for her. Yeah. I believe she was falsely charged. Well, no one's ever going to be able to convince me unless you can put the evidence in front of me.
Would you ever do another
documentary?
You're
probably close to I'm going to get to being a documentary. I'm upset. I'm very disappointed in what they put out there.
Did you say anything?
Yes, we talked to them last week, and I blew my lid on them. You know, yeah. They did us dirty. I don't think they were very honest with us. I think they tried.
What did they say in defense?
Well, they were saying, we were trying to be unbiased and give both sides, and I don't really think they gave my daughters a fair shake at both sides. I think they sensationalized, especially with the comment about talking about my daughter, knowing my daughter's lying thing. Yeah, it had nothing to do with why she's in jail. So.
Are you looking for a job?
I don't know if I have a job yet. I'm guessing that I'm not going to. My contract's up in June, so I would hope that they'll pay me through June. They're doing some sort of investigation. I don't know how much more investigating they have to do. I know
Is this a direct result of the documentary?
I believe it's a documentary. Yes, I believe it's from it. Clearly, a bunch of crazies from Parma calling into the diocese is more factual to them than talking to me. This could have been over in a conversation. Did you say it? I'm like, you heard me say it. Well, what did you mean by that? I go, we were talking. I didn't care. I don't care I don't care. It's none of my business what anybody does. I didn't care that my daughter smoked marijuana. I'm sorry.
Right.
That has nothing to do with my judgment. That has nothing
Also,
to
marijuana is now legal.
legal, and it has, but it has nothing to do with my art teaching. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with my kids. I don't walk into my room and go, okay, today we're going to paint a painting, and you should all do marijuana. I'm not doing that. That's got to be the biggest knee-jerk overreaction that you could ever imagine. I don't know why the school's not backing me up. That's to me, that's not very Catholic. Where's the compassion, the love, the understanding that they put out to everybody? They want you to be that way, but when it comes to them,
I'm pretty sure the Catholic Church is against drugs and weed, I would say.
What if I was a priest?
Yeah.
If I was a priest, they'd move me to another.
So you could
Continue on. Okay. So mind you, I'm sorry the diocese acted that way. It's unfortunate. It's disappointing. It's disappointing how the documentary handled this. I think they gave the families a preview.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't offer us, which shouts loud now that they didn't want us to see it.
That would have been really
because my understanding is that the Russos didn't like a part, so they had them take it out. So they had some control of the editing, which to me is it's unfortunate. This whole thing is unfortunate, and I believe my daughter has no idea what happened. She was so beat up. She had bruises all over her face. Those airbags going off. I don't know if you've ever seen an airbag deployment online. I watched a guy with a helmet get knocked out. It hit him so hard, it knocked him out, and that could have ended why the arteries were, So I don't know. I love my daughter, and I'm never going to stop. And I will go to my deathbed, knowing she did not do what the prosecution and this possibly incompetent, on the take judge did to her.
All right, that's the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was illuminating. I hope maybe it changed.
Dimming. I found it dimming, and as did Shadow.
Some minds about what you think happened to the case, which is very rare, and I shouldn't bet on it, but hopefully you found it interesting. I will be back tomorrow, actually, I think, with a new episode of True Crime This Week, which comes out every Friday morning, anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks for your time.
Yuck. Hideous.
Maybe don't go there. I know it's hard not to. But just wait, okay?
So she literally says, I feel like I want to live off the grid, and then talks about how she's going to be old.
So play this so you can be reminded this is who he's talking about in that interview. Let's hear what she has to say in these jail calls before we wrap this up here.
When she gets out of jail, saying that she's going to have to ask somebody else to carry her baby for her because she's going to be so old. Again, only prioritizing herself, thinking about herself, which fair. I'm sure that when you're in jail, you're thinking through what life could have been like, what you wish it would have been like, and some certain realizations are setting in. But this one is extremely unsettling to a lot of people because we know Dom and Davion, they don't ever have the opportunity of growing old at all. She stripped that away from them. But also, she was sentenced to 15 years to life concurrently, meaning side-by-side sentences. So she was 17 or 18, whatever, when she went in. That means she'll be out around 33, 34 years old. It's hardly saying you're going to be ancient or some 70-year-old when you get released. You have your whole life ahead of you still. And it just...
Well, that's not necessarily true because it's 15 to life, right? It's not just 15. It's 15 to life.
It feels very read the room, right? This chick pisses me off. She also complained in another part of the call that she, quote, doesn't want to live here with these people, referring to the other inmates, calling them murderers, kidnappers, which, again, people had a very strong reaction to this, myself included, considering Mackenzie herself has been convicted of murder. So she's acting as though she isn't, around similar company, and that they're not all this is going to be the wrong analogy, but not different strokes, but what am I looking for? Same folks, same strokes. You're all in there for a reason. You're all bad, right? I know somebody in the comments is going to be well, there's actually the 8% wrongfully accused, which I'm not talking about that. Okay. So then there's this whole other aspect to it, this social media piece, this celebrity obsession piece. Because if you remember, there was already a lot of criticism after Mackenzie crashed that car because her mom was so hyper-focused on getting her signed to modeling agencies, still like working her social media, commenting back to brands, while Mackenzie was in the hospital. Like that was their priority. What was the social media spin going to be? Could we use this now as leverage to get her signed by an agency? Let's secure brand deals as soon as we can, which is like so freaking gross in and of itself. But that mentality has not gone away because in another recorded jail call, Mackenzie talked about wanting Kim Kardashian to become her lawyer. Which, not for nothing, and no shade to Kim, I know that the bar is very difficult to pass, but she's not a lawyer. She has failed the bar, I think, 3 times now. So the person on the phone, who hasn't been named at this point, says, we're going to have her get you out. And I think that's also because Kim does a lot of work alongside the Innocence Projects and different things like that, trying to get wrongfully accused people out of prison. But Mackenzie responded to that by saying, tell her I buy Skims all the time and I only wear Skims, as if that's going to make Kim a billionaire, be like, oh my God, she buys Skims. Let me totally go work her case and try to get her released. But again, Mackenzie doesn't have a brain that has fully developed or even halfway developed, in my opinion. But take a listen.
Like, this sounds like, my mom was like, well, maybe Kim Kardashian's seen. And I was like, I hope. Yeah, maybe Kim will now that it's like all over. I was like, I mean, that's the only thing that might be good about the whole media thing. Maybe Kim will see it. I don't know. You have to figure out because I'm real nervous and I want Kim Kardashian to be my lawyer. Yeah. Don't smack your lips at me. I wish I could be your lawyer, bro. I wish I was Kim Kardashian passed the baby bar. She's a lawyer. Yeah, she gets innocent people out of jail. She does all the time. Kim works hard. We're going to have a businesswoman out. Who?
It sounds like they're having a grand old time talking about trying to get Kim to help them, but Kim has already declined, and Kim is not even a lawyer anyway.
She is. Miss Kimberly, we're going to have her get you out. I will tell her I buy all her Skims, and I only wear Skims, so you too. Yeah, literally.
So again, the idea that wearing somebody else's shapewear brand somehow equates to them having or should rescue you from prison for murder, it's just so far detached from reality. And the fact that she doesn't understand this is bizarre to me. And it gets even worse. Some of the comments that are getting the biggest backlash right now are the ones where Mackenzie refers to herself as the third victim in the crash. Now, this one happened before her sentencing when she was talking to her mom about her attorneys not wanting her to testify during the trial, which personally, they were very wise for that. Getting her on the stand, I don't think that would have been favorable to her at all. But Mackenzie said that she felt like if people could just, quote, see the truth, then they would realize that it was, quote, nothing but a car accident. And then she said, they'll see that there's a third victim, and it's me. She also went on to say that she lost the
more tone deaf, the third victim, and it's me.
Love of her life and also a good friend, which I find that kind of ironic considering her mom literally said during her statement that Davion was a new friend, which the judge ripped her a new asshole for, rightfully so. But she had said, like, now that she has to live with the grief and fear of driving for the rest of her life. Like, oh, I'm sorry. After this double fatality crash, now you're left with the fear of driving. That's what your priority is. Again, just zero remorse, in my opinion, and no accountability. But once again, take a listen.
I'm saying an appeal takes like a year.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So I'll be sitting in jail for a year before my appeal is even maybe seen.
Kenzie, we can't go there. Please just don't go there. Just live in
So this is her mom.
right now, okay?
I mean, I hope
There's no
the truth
sense in getting worked
prevails.
up.
If they see the truth, and they'll know that this was nothing but a car accident. Don't
Right.
just see that I there's a third victim and it's me, and I lost
Exactly.
the love of my life and a good friend, and now I have to
Yeah.
just deal with this grief the rest of my life and deal
I
with like
know.
being like scared to drive and stuff. Like that's just like.
I know.
Now, look, obviously, trauma after a car crash is very real. I think depending on the circumstances, depending on who's lost, who's injured, what happens, you're left reeling from that, and everybody is going to cope in different ways. But calling yourself a victim after being convicted of intentionally causing the crash that killed 2 people, it just is unbelievably tone deaf. And somehow the phone calls with her friends got even worse. At one point, her mom passes the phone around to several of Mackenzie's friends, and one friend tells her that Dominic is now her guardian angel. Another friend says that Dominic is, quote, probably watching.
Dominic's her guardian angel. He's probably running in the other direction. Get me the hell away from this girl.
Over her and mad that all of these people are doing this to her, which this is the person you were convicted of murdering, saying that
doing this to her, full of victimhood. Cry bully, someone that plays the victim in a situation they created. She sounds like a good cry bully.
He is now advocating for you and on your side. It's just like, it feels like such a slap in the face to the families who are grieving their loved ones, because she's once again centering everything around her. Her whole world revolves around herself. We've even heard from cellmates now who have spoken out that she's trying to be Regina George in prison. She's like making out with people, has hickeys all over her body. She like is a mean girl, all of these different things. It doesn't appear as though she's grown up at all, which doesn't really surprise me, because going into this pre-car crash, she thought she owned the world. She had boatloads of money from not only Dom, but from what she was doing as well, which I go into more of that on that episode last week. Her parents never told her no. They enabled her through and through. So much so that I even talk about this too in the episode. There were multiple times in the hospital, which is all documented in the police report, when you can just tell that Mackenzie runs the show. Her parents would be in the room with her. A police officer would come in and she would yell at her parents saying, "Don't talk to them without me here. I need to know what's going on." Like, then one of the cops brought like $162 that they had recovered from her purse or from the vehicle or whatever, and like gave it to her mom, being like, "Hey, we got this from the vehicle," or "This was on her, maybe in her pocket," or whatever it was, but basically passing the cash to her mom. And Mackenzie's like, "You better put that in my fucking purse right now." Like, she is the one who ran the show. And it also it's interesting. The cellmate described her as Regina George. And now that I think about it, it reminds me of that scene in Mean Girls where Regina brings all the girls over to her house and she goes into the primary bedroom and and Lindsay Lohan's like, you know what I'm talking about? She's like, "This is such a nice room." She's all, "Thanks, it was my parents, but I made them switch me."
Yes.
Like, that's Mackenzie.
That's also Emmy.
That is also Emmy. No, honestly, you're right. That is also Emmy. I was going to say, but Emmy doesn't have a mean bone in her body, but she's got more than one.
She's got looks that could
disintegrate you
Yes.
right where you stand. So yeah, I don't know. This is just like, it's very upsetting. And basically the entire thing has just started another major conversation about accountability and remorse, and whether or not Mackenzie truly understands the severity of what happened that night. Because based on the way that she's acting and some of the things that she said.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over this part, right? It doesn't seem like she has any remorse, and you can tell by her actions and how she's playing the victim, etc., right? You can tell even before she went to jail by how she was talking to Dominic's mother. It wasn't about anything about remorse. It was all about how she looks. "Oh, why are people hating me? Can you please get people to stop hating me?" All about her. That's ultimately the problem. And that's how you know it's not really remorse. It's just pity, wanting people to not hate her, image management, trying to control the narrative. That's all. That's all. No, it's definitely a different episode, Song Bits, but she's going over things that we've gone over before. But I did want to hear those phone calls in the beginning. All right, folks, as you're here, make sure you like the video because likes are free. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Thank you very much for all of the support I've gotten so far. Shadow and I really appreciate it. And again, that's pretty much all we got here for today. So we'll see what goes on from tomorrow until the next night here. What do we got here? Is anyone else feeling depressed? Well, we try to have some chuckles anyway, Sweet Caroline, but I can see why someone would be depressed after listening to Steve and then some of her nonsense, right? It's just icky. Leaves you with an icky feeling. The Eagles talk about a peaceful, easy feeling. Well, when you listen to them, you get the opposite of that. You get an icky feeling of listening to someone play the victim, cry bully, all of them, right? Not just Mackenzie, but her dad too. It's icky. You want to take a shower after listening to that. So we'll see what else comes out. I'm disappointed the prosecutor made that thing up about the seizure, but still doesn't mean she's innocent. Remember that. It's just disappointing. They don't need any more points. They don't need any more things in their favor there. And that doesn't help them, right? That's for the prosecutor to make that mistake, that can leave the door open to help in the defense. And that Shadow and I can't accept that. That is not good. But all right, folks, thanks for watching, everybody. So till next time, Shadow and I wish you all a blessed night. Have a great day. Thanks for suggesting that, Miss Amanda. We appreciate that. Don't believe who lied. All right, Nanny Goat. Sweet Caroline, thank you very much for everything. And for the rest of the flock of black sheep as well. Over and out.